much child support were you sending?
$800 a month.
And were you receiving that?
No, and definitely not all the time. He is about $9,000 to $10,000 behind right now.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Ezra Masters is suing the mother of his child, Chanel Martin, for reimbursement of travel expenses after she blocked him from seeing his daughter.
Order. All rise. It's case number 223 on the calendar in the matter of Masters versus Martin.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Masters, you and Miss Martin have a child together, and it is your claim that Miss Martin purposely sabotaged a planned visitation, and as a result of that, you were unable to visit with your daughter when you traveled to see her, and you want Miss Martin to compensate you for the travel expenses that you incurred during that visit. That's what your case is about. Miss Martin says that the visitation had been rescinded by a judge at the time that you went to visit the child. She has a ridiculous counterclaim that I claim is a silly one. Now, how old is your child?
She's almost 4, 3.5.
And where do you live, Mr. Masters?
Dallas, Texas.
And where do you live, Miss Martin?
California, Los Angeles.
And when the child was born, where were you living, Mr. Masters?
California, Los Angeles.
So you moved to Texas?
Yes, ma'am, 3 months ago.
Is there a reason that you moved to Texas?
Work. Being here in California is hard to find work, a lot of competition. Dallas is just a better lifestyle.
Now, when you were in Los Angeles and your child was born, were you and Miss Martin ever residing together?
No, no, ma'am.
When your daughter was born, was there a declaration of paternity declaring you to be the father? You were never married, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
And at one point, there had to have been a court action because there was a visitation in place. Who initiated that?
I initiated that. I filed for custody and visitation.
And was there a judicial order
Yes.
put in place? I'd like to see it.
I don't have the one from Maryland.
Do you have it?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
From what jurisdiction?
The baby was born in Maryland. I have one from Maryland. That was the original. There have been 2 since then.
Just a second. The child was born in Maryland because you left Los Angeles.
Yes.
Who lives in Maryland? Family?
My family.
And did he come and see the child when the child was born in
He
Maryland?
came. Yes.
So I assume things were reasonable at that point.
No, ma'am.
Not really.
Not really was sufficient for him to come to visit you in Maryland. He traveled.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
That was fine.
And you don't have the original orders of visitation.
No, I didn't bring that one.
Do you have the latest one?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. And when did you plan, sir, on visiting your daughter?
This was August the 18th, that weekend.
And was that pursuant to the order of visitation then in place?
Yes, ma'am.
In August?
Yes, ma'am. And here's
No.
here's that order.
No, no, no. This was filed in July.
That is the most recent one. There is not one after that. That is the one that was in
before.
place. On August 19th, that's the one that was in place.
There you go, sir.
I want to see one that was in place between 2013 and 2016.
I don't have that.
There it is, ma'am.
That's not it. That is something that he filed in June. That is not the original one.
I see what happened. He filed an action July 13th, 2016, and in his action, he was asking for joint legal custody, and visitation was granted, weekends starting immediately, and a visitation schedule. Were you present at that hearing?
No, he filed a regular, normal hearing, but I wasn't notified of the hearing. That's why I wasn't present. I would have been there.
Who knows? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Now, can you tell me, Mr. Masters, why you found it necessary to file a case on July 13th?
So to clarify the timeline, midst of a co-parenting relationship here in California. This situation arose because I didn't know if I could have children. It was kind of a dire situation. So
Whatever. But you left for Texas.
Yes, 3 months ago. Yes.
Did you let the defendant know that you were relocating to Texas?
Her and I are in minimal communication. Everything was filed through the court system.
So the answer is you did not tell her that
Directly,
you were
no.
leaving for Texas in June, is my
Correct.
question.
Correct. Correct.
Now, had you been seeing your daughter regularly before?
Yes, until she ceased.
Just a second. Before June, had you been seeing her
Yes,
regularly?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
No.
Shh. How regularly?
I was seeing her every Wednesday and every Sunday. This was allowed in the court order. Actually, I would have supposed to have it for the weekend. She would not allow me to have it for the weekend.
So is what you're telling me the last order that was in existence?
Yes, ma'am.
Was for weekend visitation
Yes, ma'am.
from the state of Maryland?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it?
Okay.
Mr. Masters,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to tell you that I'm usually very sympathetic with parents who are trying to see their children. But I'm trying to understand you, sir. You left Los Angeles in June. You never notified the defendant, notify her that you were moving. And according to what I'm hearing, you had no contact with her until you filed this action in mid-July, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the action that you filed in Los Angeles on July 13th, you asked for weekend visitation commencing immediately, correct?
Correct.
That's what you asked for.
Correct.
And I don't know what you said to the judge at that time, but the judge signed an ex parte order that said this order supersedes the order from Maryland. This is the order from Maryland. And the order from Maryland says that commencing in 2015, you shall be accorded 48-hour visits, which includes an overnight, on 30 days' notice to the other side.
Exactly.
Did you give Miss Martin 30 days' notice of your intention to exercise weekend visitation after you moved to Texas?
No, ma'am.
So after you moved to Texas in June, you had no contact with her.
Directly, no. Through her father, yes. That's why her father's sitting there.
On what date did you have contact with her father?
Most significant time was June the 8th when I was on the road driving to Texas. We were trying to figure out the situation.
Since June the 8th, did you have any contact with her father?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me, California, on what date?
That weekend, 8/19, 8/18.
So between June
Yes.
and 8/18, you didn't have contact with her father. You tried to have contact with her father when you came up for the weekend for visitation.
No, ma'am. We spoke on several occasions in
No,
regards to
I want you to tell me
Yes.
when.
Okay. So I spoke with him several weeks throughout July, all the way up until my visitation.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Spoke to him about what?
The visitation of my daughter. And the
Specifically.
Specifically, I wanted to see my daughter. We arranged that we were going to come the first, third. He asked me specifically when. He was very adamant about when I'm going to see my daughter. I told him I would come during the custody hearing. That third weekend, 8/19, was the actual hearing date on that Friday. I told him I would be there, which was in alignment with the order that I had. I would be there.
You're
that
talking
weekend.
about the ex parte order that you got for weekends. Not the Maryland order.
Right, there's 3 orders. She had the ex parte. That's why I'm confused.
No,
she
no.
had the ex parte. I'm a little confused.
Don't be confused,
Okay.
sir.
I didn't do an ex parte.
Well, you filed your action by yourself. You didn't go
Okay.
to the courthouse together with her.
Right, okay, maybe I'm not understanding what ex parte is
You
in that way.
didn't go to the courthouse
Okay.
together. You filed, in effect, an interim order
Okay.
when they set it down for hearing. But meanwhile, the only order that was in place prior to you getting this order that you got,
Yes.
superseding this 8-hour visitation on 30 days' notice
Yes, ma'am.
to the defendant. I'm not hearing that you gave the defendant 30 days' notice of your intention to exercise visitation the weekend of August 18th. I haven't heard that you gave her 30 days' notice. All I hear is you left where your daughter was living, and she's 4. So there's no communication with the 4-year-old, who, according to you, you used to see Wednesdays and Sundays. And then the next thing she hears from you is that there's now an order in place where you can come and pick up your daughter from school, which is what you did. You went to the school to pick her up, right?
No.
Wait.
Yeah, that part is correct. The first part is not right. There's 2 different things you just mentioned. The second part you mentioned, go to our school, that is correct. The first part, prior to that, I had been in constant communication with her father and letting her know that there was an
I
order
don't
in place.
care.
And I contacted him when we had the court hearing asking where was his daughter and why was she not there.
Okay, let me tell you this. I'm not granting your application for travel expenses.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you leave the jurisdiction and you have a 4-year-old and you want to have a relationship with that child, you're not moving for custody of that child, but you want to have a relationship with her, which you should, then you don't change what is a primary order. You send a registered letter 30 days before to the defendant and you say, I'm coming up from Texas on the 18th of August. I'm giving you notice that I would like to exercise my visitation on August 18th. For that 48-hour period, because I now live far away. And if you did that, and she, not her father, not back and forth with her, she had noticed, because she's the mother of your child, you should be in constant communication with her. How
cuts
many
off communication.
how many children do you have?
I have 1 child. She moved 2 weeks after she was pregnant. Essentially, this is a sperm donor situation. I had been making contact repeatedly. I had made several visits to Maryland, pleading with her, several emails, hundreds of emails, pleading to her to bring my daughter back. At the time, I didn't know that this was...
Let me explain something to you.
I found out she was on welfare, Your Honor. This is why. Yes.
Pay careful attention.
Yes.
Anybody that refers to himself in a situation like this as merely a sperm donor is not operating with the right brain.
This is how she, this is how she's conducted.
Just a second. Is not operating with the right brain. And, I mean, I thought I heard something, and maybe I was mistaken, that you were under the impression that you couldn't have children?
I didn't know. There was suspicion at the time because of...
I thought I heard that.
Yes. Yes.
I thought I heard that, that you at least believed that there might be a possibility that you couldn't have children.
But I didn't know. Yes.
Whatever it is. She went back to Maryland because I assume that this was not a real blossom into something.
We were in a, thank you. We were in a relationship, yes.
Tell me, she was pregnant. Were you supportive during that?
Absolutely. Absolutely supportive.
Tell me what you did.
I was working. At the time period, she was not. She was working. She was...
Stop.
At the time period, the discussions that we had was as far as how we're going to move forward when it comes to the child. Her issue was that she did not want to work because her mother was supporting her at the time. She felt because she was pregnant, said this is not the situation that we had.
Were you living together?
No, we were not living together, no.
Okay, so you weren't living together even during her pregnancy?
She had just got pregnant. We were in these discussions, but when she was conceived, no, we were not living together. But we were in these discussions.
But you were not living together?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
What?
Am I going to have my turn?
Eventually, if you need to.
Okay.
Eventually, if you need to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was receiving child support in Maryland while she was getting welfare in California. So that communication...
Just a second. Was that a breached communication?
Yes.
And were you receiving that?
No, and definitely not all the time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ezra Masters says the mother of his child, Chanel Martin, owes for travel expenses after she blocked him from for lost wages and emotional distress.
So the defendant went home to be with her family while she was pregnant. It was wonderful that you went there and visited twice.
No, I'm sorry, 4 times, but yes.
That's great. But time that is important to me,
yes,
within the context of your case seeking reimbursement for traveling expenses, you were under an order. The only order that the two of you knew about was a Maryland order that required you to give her 30 days notice of your intention to exercise visitation.
Yes, I had done that on several occasions because when I thought that she was in Maryland, I did not find that she was in California until welfare notified me that she was in California.
On what year?
This was 2015.
Just a second. Well, then there was a substantial period of time that you didn't see your daughter.
Oh, I saw her. As soon as I found out about that, she was in California.
There was a substantial period of time when you did not regularly see your daughter.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Okay. So there was irregular visitation. Now, did you ever travel anywhere other than from Maryland, where you were living, to California?
Yes.
Where did you go in between?
I traveled to Florida. I traveled to...
I mean, when I say travel, I don't mean travel for a week. Did you live in Florida?
No. I lived in Maryland until I lived here again.
Okay. I'm not talking about traveling on vacation. California.
Yes.
Great. So there was a substantial period of time when you did not see your daughter.
Yes.
Okay. When you did not file any action, because you weren't denied visitation, but she was in Maryland.
Yes, I was denied visitation.
Well, you didn't file the action, sir, until after you were notified by child support that she was receiving welfare and they were coming after you for support.
She was receiving child support in Maryland while she was getting welfare in California. So that communication...
Just a second.
Yes.
Was that a breached communication? How much child support were you sending?
$800 a month. It's enforced. They take it automatically out of my account.
And were you receiving that?
No, and definitely not all the time. He wasn't working for a lot of the times. They couldn't garnish his wages.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is why she was awarded the ex parte, because she essentially...
No, I got...
Well, it says domestic violence. It says I violated. It says I hacked the computer system and changed her address into my address.
She's not going to be able to prove any of that.
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ezra Masters has accused the mother of his child, Chanel Martin, of owing for travel expenses. Chanel has a countersuit for lost wages.
What month and year did you come to California?
February 2015.
And did you apply for public assistance at that time?
Yes.
Were you working in February of 2015?
Yes, ma'am. Here's where I paid. This is a documentation I paid. I still paid directly to Maryland.
Just a second.
Yes. There are 3 pages there.
Pays his child support regularly. It comes right out of his check.
No, he does not pay his child support regularly. If he happened to pay those months that he sent to you, I can't keep in my mind every time because it is now and then. He is about $9,000 to $10,000 behind right now. So if he was paying,
they garnished in March of 2016. They received $4,540.
Yes, I assume that was from his tax return. That was
I'm
this
sure
year.
it was. I know it was from his tax return
Because he was so far behind.
But his payments have been consistent since March of 2015, April 2015, and this goes back to February of 2015. Pays his child support. Okay. Now, what kind of an order is in place now for visitation?
What's in place now?
Is nothing?
I mean, she has the ex parte, and this is where she
When are you supposed to be
We go back to
someplace for
court
hearing?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
We go back to court tomorrow.
Tomorrow. And through her ex parte agreement, and what she mentioned earlier, this is why she was awarded the ex parte, because she essentially hacked the computer system and changed her address into my address.
Wait a second. She's not going to be able to prove any of that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Listen to me. She's not going to be able to prove any of that.
Yes.
But the one thing she can establish, sir, to the judge, which doesn't let you prevail here, is that you left the jurisdiction where your child was living, and you didn't communicate that to the defendant. And the next contact she has is that you are going to exercise a visitation order from a court where she was not present, and it changed an order that had been in place in Maryland where both of you were present, and a court had an opportunity to hear both of you and to figure out who was stretching the truth and who was not, and where everybody was. The only time is when the 2 of you were together in Maryland. Subsequent to that, you went to court.
Yes.
And you got an order changing that order from Maryland. Because I read the order.
Yes.
That's not the way to do business. It's not the way to do business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us.
Whether you like him or not, you picked him. Your daughter has a right to know her father. I'm sure that the family court judge before whom you appear tomorrow will let you know that that's the way they feel.
He can see her. He just doesn't.
No.
Great.
She has denied me every time.
Just a second.
Majority.
Well, that's not true, sir. That's not true,
Ma'am, that
because
is
you
true.
told me
Yes, ma'am.
at this hearing that before you left in June, you were seeing the child on Wednesdays and Sundays.
That's the time
That's what
she-
you
and
told
she
me.
disallowed
Your
me
case
from
is
seeing my
dismissed.
child.
We're done.
Okay. Thank you,
Your
Your
counterclaim, I said nonsense at the time. It's still nonsense.
Okay.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
My daughter's the victim because this woman doesn't see that I'm a fantastic father trying to love my daughter. That's it.
I mean, he's using the court system to, I guess, save face. He's a very absent parent.
And my daughter is only a victim because this woman has...
He gave a nice little spiel about how he wants to be a dad. It's false.
Making a point to keep my daughter away from a loving father, to me, makes no sense.
He's having an adult temper tantrum, and instead of actually being a dad...
She needs to grow up. It's really unfortunate that people can see a woman in a pretty dress, pretend to be innocent and just assume that she's right.
Because she's 3.5. He could have been a great dad by now. He'd rather play around and spend his energy trying to upset me.
I'm going to fight, and that's what I'll do.
I mean, if he wants to be a dad, I can't wait for that day for him to actually be a father. But if not, we are really fine without him, so...
I needed $4,800
Why?
because I was getting a house.
No money, no problem.
Why did you ask him to take out this very high-priced loan?
I didn't have the rest.
Don't move into a $4,800 house.
Until she had a problem with him.
I found out that Sean was a convicted felon. At that point, I told him that we could no longer see each other. You are such a hustler, Miss Sims.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Sean Chris Boykin is suing his ex-girlfriend, Maisha Sims, for an unpaid loan and lost wages.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 182 on the calendar in the matter of Boykin versus Sims.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Boykin, you had a short relationship with the defendant. During that time, according to your complaint, she was sort of short on rent and security deposit and stuff. She had some of the money, but she didn't have all that she needed. Your complaint says that you took out a loan for her through a loan company, $2,600. And the loan had extraordinarily high interest payments on it. And the agreement was she was to repay in installments the money. According to you, she stopped being your girlfriend. She also didn't pay the loan. And the loan, which was $2,600, according to you, is now $3,543 because the interest keeps accumulating. Ms. Sims says that the agreement was that she was supposed to pay half of the loan. You took some of the money when the loan was granted. How much?
$200.
Why?
Because she gave me that for basically pulling out the loan for her.
Well, let me ask you a question. Were you working at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing?
At that time, I was doing construction as well as plumbing.
And what kind of work were you doing?
I work for a marketing company.
Do you get paid by the hour or by the call?
By the hour.
How many hours a week were you working?
40.
How long have you been working for the same company, and what's the name of the company?
5 years at Vantage Sales and Marketing.
So why couldn't you take out your own loan?
I didn't have the
Just a
credit.
second. Why couldn't you take? You were working for 5 years, working a 40.
A divorce, and I fell into a financial crisis, and I didn't have the money.
Do you know I'm not believing you? It's not that I'm necessarily not believing the case. I may be believing the case, but I'm not necessarily believing you. You want to start over again with me? Financial crisis is a nice term. You were working at the same job for 5 years. You had saved up how much money?
I had about $2,000.
And how much did you need?
I needed $4,800.
Why?
Because I was getting a house. I was buying a house.
You were buying a house.
I was attempting to buy a house, lease with the option to buy, and I needed a deposit.
So you needed $2,800.
In addition to what I had,
In addition to what you had?
Yes.
Are you still in that house?
Yes.
Did you buy it?
No.
Where is it located?
It's in Los Angeles.
And what's the current rent, and to whom do you pay that rent?
It's currently $1,400, and I pay it to Bob.
Who's Bob?
The owner.
Now you're going to explain to me why on a 14-month rental you needed $4,800.
It was first and last.
I got it.
And a deposit, a security deposit. She charged a separate deposit. They charged a separate deposit.
Okay, that's usually equivalent to 1 month's rent.
It was not.
How much was the security deposit?
$2,400.
It's a very high-priced loan.
I didn't have the rest.
Then you don't move into a $4,800 house, you fool.
He offered.
I would like to see all of the loan papers that you filled out.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to see a Xerox copy. Oh, they don't use Xerox anymore. What do they say? A copy of anything. I want to see the loan papers that you filled out.
Okay, sir.
I'd like to see a copy of your lease.
I don't have a copy of my lease.
Go get it.
I didn't bring it with me.
Well, we'll get it. We're going to get it. We'll get it, and I'll see you after lunch. Get me a copy of your lease. Got it?
Parties are excused. This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So what you're trying to tell me, sir, that you were never intimate with the defendant?
There was no intimate relationship, Your Honor.
I didn't say if you were in a relationship. I said, were you intimate with?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case earlier today, Sean Chris Boykin says ex-girlfriend Maisha Sims.
Now, this is a recall of case number 182 in the matter of Boykin versus Sims.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
Okay, Miss Sims, when we left, I sent you home to get from your landlord a copy of your lease. Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Sure.
Dixon.
That's my boyfriend.
I thought he was your boyfriend.
No, he wasn't my boyfriend.
Well, what was he?
My friend.
Do you know Mr. Dixon?
I met him
When did you meet him?
probably about a month and a half ago.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you meeting him.
I was starting to get tired of dealing with the defendant about giving me my money. And so I went over, which was probably, I would think, probably ill-advised on my half, but I went over to confront her about my money because she had clearly broken the agreement that we had. So I told her, it was one morning about, I think maybe about 7 o'clock in the morning. I went over there and he happened to be pulling out from the house that they bought, that she bought with money.
No, they're tenants.
Well, okay.
They moved in as co-tenants.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So I went over there and he was pulling out. I guess he was taking, I'm not sure who the child was in the car, but he was taking some child to school.
What's that?
It's his child.
Who lives in the house?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. When he saw me going to the house, he stopped the car and he said, "What's up?" like that. And I'm like, "What's up?" You know, back to him. So I knocked on the door. She came to the door and she said, "Well, what's going on?" I said, "You know, I went through."
No, tell me what you said. Don't tell me I went through. She said, "What's going on?"
And I said, "Where's my money?" Yeah.
And?
He, at the time, I could see he clearly didn't know that this happened. He didn't know what was going on because he was in the dark that she had took this money from me. So I was explaining, I said, "Listen, I need my money. I need to, because every day you're making this percentage go up higher and higher." And I told her, had she paid the money back in the time that she was supposed to, this percentage would never be as high as it would. I think the loan company would have only about maybe $100. $107 to be somewhere in the vicinity. But that was back in January. And so all these times I kept going on and on and on. But to be more specific to your question, Your Honor, that was the day that I met, was that day about 2 months ago, I would say.
You are such a hustler, Miss Sims. Let me read what you wrote in your answer. You said, "I kept up my end of the bargain and made months after the loan," and the loan was in
January. Yes,
a few
ma'am.
months after the loan, which would have been March. "I found out that Sean was a convicted felon. At that point, I told him that we could no longer see each other, and I then rekindled my relationship with my former boyfriend. But this lease you signed in January with your former boyfriend, who is now your current boyfriend in January." Are you following what I'm saying? Do you want me to repeat it? Because you look confused. I don't want you to be confused about anything that I say. You signed this lease on January 28th with Dixon. Am I confused?
No, you're not confused.
So that the answer that you filed here is incorrect.
It's incorrect.
Which means that the story that you told was incorrect.
I was paying the money back.
No. Which means that the story you told here in this deposition that you signed is incorrect.
That's incorrect.
Now, I'm going to show you your lease, and I want you, because perhaps I'm missing it, I want you to take Officer Bird's pen and make a big circle on this lease where it says that you paid $1,400 for the first month's rent, $1,400 for the second month's rent, and $2,400 in security. I want you to circle that, because what you told me you needed to move in was $4,800. So I want you to circle the $2,400 I see. Now I want you to circle where you paid the $1,400 first month's rent and the $1,400 last month's rent.
Here you go.
No. This says the monthly rent is $1,400.
So I had to
payable on the first of the month, and a $2,400 security deposit. That's $3,800.
Okay, $3,800. I miscalculated, not $4,838.
I want to know how long you dated her.
Ma'am, dating, I wouldn't say that's the word. I wouldn't characterize it as dating.
Well, tell me what you would characterize it as.
I would characterize it as a person that I'd known.
How did you find her?
Through the woman who I was dating. It was her cousin.
And then you stopped dating her, and you started to date her.
Well,
Look at me. Don't give me an If I'm wrong, just tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Am I wrong, or is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am, you're wrong.
Okay, tell me about it. I'm
this
going to read it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how it went down.
I love it. I love it.
What occurred, Your Honor, was that Antoinette, we were not talking anymore. she was distraught. Antoinette was distraught because she wasn't able to talk to me. She gave my phone number to Maisha. Maisha called me. We started talking strictly only as friends and about Antoinette. And then, as we started becoming friends, that's when she already knew she was out on her luck, that she was living in her car. I saw this with my own eyes. So that's when she started going into like, hey, you know, my family won't help me. Could you help me out?
Is what you're trying to tell me, sir, that you were never intimate with the defendant?
There was no intimate relationship, Your Honor.
Well, those are two words put together. I didn't put those two words together, sir. You put the two words together. Intimate and relationship are two entirely different things. I asked you one word. I didn't say if you were in a relationship. I said, were you intimate with?
Yes, ma'am.
We were not.
That was very clever. I give you credit for that. You weren't in an intimate relationship. That I understand.
I'm under oath, Your Honor.
Yeah,
so.
well, I got it. Okay, maybe.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This says that you borrowed $2,600. If you make the minimum payments, the total you will have paid back is $12,533. Isn't there such a thing as usury in this?
And then skerfuffling, and then cursing, and then a really loud bang. And I knocked on the door, and Mr. Stone was on the floor, drunk.
Okay, so he was drunk and he fell on the floor.
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean Chris Boykin says ex-girlfriend Maisha Sims owes for a loan and lost wages.
Now I'd like you to show me how much of this loan you paid off.
I've paid $1,500.
Show me, 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 show me. What is this?
That's the receipt from the place showing how much I paid to date and what the principal is left.
Total paid was $500.
No, the total paid is on the other receipt with the card. I paid a total of $1,500.
Oh, no, this is nothing. You see, this is nothing.
Well, the loan is in his name, so they won't give me.
I don't know why they gave you this.
Because I've been making the payments on it.
Show me. Show me checks, money orders, receipts. Show me.
I paid cash. I just gave it to you.
Then you get a receipt. No, you don't get this. You get a receipt. If it's a loan company, then you get a receipt. Now, speedy contact with her boyfriend?
No, other than that one time I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, no.
I want to say how absolutely ridiculous you are. This says that you borrowed $2,600. If you make the payments that they tell you to make, if you make the minimum payments, the total you will have paid back is $12,533 at the interest rate of 135.393%, which I actually don't know. Isn't there such a thing as usury in this state?
Yes, ma'am. It was a ridiculous thing to do, but with Maisha, we had worked out between ourselves that if you pay this amount, the only amount of money that Speedy Loan would have received in interest would have been about $107.
Who paid the $140 when the matter went to collections?
I did.
You did?
I've been paying all the $140 payments.
Great, that's what you should continue to do. The case is dismissed. I'm done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did something nice for somebody.
I borrowed the money. I've been paying the money back.
He helped her, and then she didn't pay him back.
Threatening, just influencing him a lot.
This is overwhelming right here. This is too much, man.
I won't borrow this kind of money again. It was a big mistake.
And now the next case.
All parties.
Scott Stone is suing his ex-roommate, Kristen Railing, for the return of his rent and deposit.
Mr. Stone, you want your rent and your deposit back.
Yes, ma'am.
You moved in with Miss Railing on the 1st of March.
Correct.
And your rent was how much?
$600 per month.
And you gave her a $300 security deposit.
I gave her $1,200 down completely in total.
First month's rent and last month's rent, or was it first
Correct.
month's
Well,
rent?
first month's and then a deposit.
And you gave that to her when you moved in on March 1st?
In 3 separate payments, yes, ma'am.
When were you finished with the payments?
The 28th, I believe, or according to this, the 26th of February, I made the last $900 payment on the $1,200.
And you didn't move in until March 1st?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me, Miss Railing, I read your answer, and your answer says that Mr. Stone was a problem from the beginning.
Yes.
Did that mean March 1st, March 2nd?
Honestly, I noticed the first incident on the night that I came to pick up the final deposit. I went to his house to pick up his deposit, the rest of the money, and he had asked me to give him a ride to a show that he was going to, and I noticed in that time that he was quite intoxicated.
Okay, and then he moved in.
And then he moved in, and he had just broken up with his girlfriend, so I assumed that he was going through a rough patch. And about 9 days after he moved in, on March 9th, I was trying to sleep, and it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I had to get up early. I'm a circus acrobat, and I train a lot, and the whole house goes to bed early. And at about 10 o'clock, 10:30, I heard mumbling and then skerfuffling and then cursing and then a really loud bang coming from Mr. Stone's room, which is directly connected to my room. And so I knocked on the door.
And what time was this?
About 10:30-ish. I wrote my roommate right after the incident, and it was 10:50, so sometime before then. And I knocked on the door, and Mr. Stone was on the floor, drunk. I asked him if he was fighting with somebody. He was alone. I asked him if he had heard any noises, loud banging or anything, and he looked at me as though there was no noise.
Okay, so he was on the floor. He was drunk and he fell on the floor.
Yes.
And what happened?
And then I told him that, you know, this kind of behavior wasn't acceptable and that maybe he was unhappy living here, and I never evicted him, but it was
you have to give him his money back. Let's be clear.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Follow us on Twitter.
Okay. You should want to give him his money back. How much did you give him back?
So far, I have given him nothing.
Well, you have to give him his money back.
I tried to break down the bills.
Let me explain something to you. When you have a roommate, you can't, unless you have a written lease with them that requires them to be in bed by 10 o'clock and not drink in the apartment. They can swing from the chandeliers if they want to at 10 o'clock at night. That's what happens when you have a roommate. And if you went in and said to him, this kind of behavior can't continue, maybe you're not happy here, and he took that as this kind of behavior can't continue, this is my behavior. This is what I'm going to do now. So you say, listen, this was a mistake for everybody.
Yeah.
Goodbye. What your answer suggests is, since he didn't give you notice, he doesn't get any money back. Well, you don't break down the bills. He moved out on what date?
He moved out on March 15th.
He's being very, very nice to you. I would have given him his entire $1,200 back that he gave you, because you can't dictate to him. You and your 3 roommates are responsible people. You should probably, and if you all go to bed at 10 o'clock and get up early in the morning to train, you should probably live alone together or live with somebody whose job is consistent with yours so that they too go to bed at 10 o'clock.
When we spoke beforehand.
If it's not in writing and part of your lease, it doesn't exist. Return of his security deposit and for half a month's rent. He's being very reasonable. Don't be ridiculous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. We're done.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
At some point, the engagement was broken.
I had been forced out of the home by police escort. His son came over, said I had a knife, and his daughter came in waving elder abuse paperwork.
Next Judge Judy.
He completely bailed on us.
Hey, I won, so whatever, right?
He fell down drunk and was cursing and screaming.
There might have been some cursing, you know? There might have been some mumbling, but I don't think I was being out of line. I definitely wasn't drunk.
What friendship?
Everything has lifespan, and some things just need to be let go of, right?
This was the beginning of the end.
A couple's final clash.
So you were both a little inebriated and you had an argument.
Yes, where he tackled me.
She hit me first.
But who kicked off the aerial assault?
He picked up a vase and threw it at me, threw my toaster oven at me.
She threw a vase at me. I ducked. It went and hit her oven.
When 2 people get drunk and have a fight, I'm not getting in between that.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin.
Jennifer Matchey is suing her ex-boyfriend, Jerry Heck, for an unpaid loan to buy a motorcycle, an insurance deductible, and an assault.
Order. All rise. Your Honor's case number 246 on the calendar in the matter of Matchey versus Heck.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Miss Matchey, the defendant and you were a couple and lived together, according to what I read, for about 2 years?
No, ma'am, we were not living together. We did
Never.
date. No, never.
Did you have your own home?
I did. I had an apartment. I have an apartment, which I've had since October of 14.
When did you and the defendant begin a relationship?
In September of 14.
This case has many components. Let me try to simplify it if I can. One is for a loan.
Correct.
Which you say you took out on his behalf with a promise for him to pay that loan. It was for a motorcycle. It was actually to refinance a motorcycle. You bought a motorcycle, sir?
I already owned a motorcycle, ma'am.
You were paying out.
I was paying out payments on it.
You were making payments. And at what interest rate?
29.9%.
Which is very high interest. When had you purchased the motorcycle?
Purchased my motorcycle in June of 2013.
So about a year before you met the plaintiff.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were making payments on it faithfully?
Yes, ma'am.
That's by a new loan that the plaintiff took out on your behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
I believe February of 2015. Correct, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
14.
It was refinanced by me January 30th of 2016.
And what was the interest rate then?
4.9.
Quite a difference. Now, you were still dating in January of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
So in February, the first payment would have been due on the new loan, correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Who paid that?
I did, ma'am.
And what about in March, the next payment? And what amount were those payments, sir? What
They were
was the
$155.
monthly? And what had you been paying a month?
$270.
Did you make March's payment as well?
Yes, ma'am.
In the amount of $155?
Yes, ma'am.
What about April?
Yes, ma'am.
There came a time when you stopped making the payments.
Yes, ma'am.
In what month?
I made the first 5 payments.
So you made payments in February, March, April, May, and June.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you stop?
Because she was to be taking over the payments at that time. I agreed to pay the first 5 payments.
Why was she supposed to make the payments?
I did not sell her the bike. She used the bike as collateral to obtain money to pay for a custody battle she had with her ex. She had to pay the lawyer. And that was the purpose of the bike being refinanced, to obtain...
Greater than the loan that you
Yes,
had?
ma'am. $2,084.
What was the remaining balance on the... This is getting more complicated. The remaining balance when it was refinanced in January of 2016 was how much?
$3,500.
Was the remaining balance on
Yes,
your
ma'am.
loan? And how much of a loan did you take out?
I took out a loan for approximately $5,600.
Okay. Which means that you had more than enough money to pay off his loan. What did you do with the other $2,000?
Actually, they gave him a check, which I have right here, and he cashed it.
May I see it? He can cash it. What I'm asking you is the loan that was outstanding was only $3,500 left.
Correct. And then he got to keep the difference. That's the check that my bank gave him because he sold me the bike for that amount, or ultimately sold the bike to me because I wanted the title in my name. I wasn't going to just let him have everything, you know, the title and the loan and such.
Well, he had already been paying off this bike for a couple of years.
He was 2 months behind, and he had asked me for approximately 2 weeks. I was resistant at first and hesitated also prior to doing it. However, he was my boyfriend. I loved him, and I wanted...
Well, that's sort of interesting. He was my boyfriend, and I loved...
We financed his motorcycle for him.
I understand that, but then you wanted it in your name.
Absolutely, because it was my loan.
I understand. But it sort of doesn't go together with I love you, but now I'm going to take out this loan, but now I want it in my name. It
Well, it's
probably good
business.
sense. What did you do with the motorcycle? You sold it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the original company that you had financed with sent you the title because there was no longer a lien on it because you paid off the lien.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right? And in what month and year did you sell the motorcycle?
June 13th
Of this year?
2016.
To whom?
The motorcycle dealership that I originally purchased it from.
Did you buy another motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
So you sold it back to the company?
Yes. I was having no luck on Craigslist, and
You were what?
I needed selling it myself, and I'm laid off, and I needed money.
Fine. How much did you get for it?
$4,000, ma'am.
How much is left on the loan?
The balance on the loan now is $6,300. They've added insurance, interest.
I'm not getting involved with that. Tell me, sir, about this money that you needed for a lawyer for a custody battle.
She was in a battle with daughter's father, and there was a guardian of a litem appointed to the case, and she had came from her last court date, and he had won. She was losing, and he had gained full custody, and he got that. She had to pay half, which was a couple thousand. So she needed money, and she was off on disability, so she wasn't able to do it. And also, her car was upside down, so we used my bike to use as collateral for her to take, because it had equity in it.
She took out some cash, but she also paid off your bike.
Yes.
Okay. But if the loan was $5,600, sir, let's just say it was $3,500, you made 5 payments of $155. That's still a lot of money that you owe her, because you sold the bike and took all the benefit.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say it's just $3,500, and that I believe everything you say about the lawyer, because that's too convoluted for you to make up. But you made 5 payments of $155. Forget about it, everything else, insurance or anything for the moment. $155 times 5 equals $775. And let's say the original loan was $3,500 less $775 equals $2,725. And to that, I'm going to add a nice round number, so it comes to $3,000 because you haven't paid money and there was interest on it. So now you owe her $3,000. So you got $4,000. So you ended up with $1,000 for the motorcycle. But I can see no reason why you shouldn't pay her back this $3,000.
After I sold the bike, I paid 2 payments after I sold the bike, or 1, whatever it is. But she came to me that her credit union was upset that there's no insurance on the bike. Well, I didn't have a bike to insure. So she went to take the, she's telling me she's going to sue me, which we're doing right now. And I said, let's just get an agreement. Because at this time, which I should have done in the beginning, was get a written agreement how we did all this. I learned my lesson on that. And she refused. All she wanted was the full payment. She didn't want to drag it on. We were broke up, but I had no access to do that.
And you should have paid her when you sold the bike in June. Anyway, so far you owe her $3,000. Now you have other parts to this lawsuit. You claim that you had a fight with him and he assaulted you.
Yes,
on what date?
On April 20th, 2016. This was the beginning of the end.
Just a second. When was the last time you dated? I thought that was in June.
No, it was in April when we had the altercation and I filed a restraining order.
Fine. Tell me about what happened.
He got upset. And
over this money?
No, it wasn't
what?
even about the motorcycle. It was just general, tension that was coming between us. I was unhappy. So after some cocktails, he tends to not really...
Did you have cocktails or just him?
Oh, no, I did too.
So you were both a little inebriated?
Where he tackled me.
Okay, fine. Did you go to the hospital?
Yes, I actually had to go to Aspen Orthopedic. It was a re-injury of my rotator cuff, and have an MRI done and such. The police did come and take him, of course, as well. And they said that I will need another rotator cuff surgery.
What were you on disability for?
For the original rotator cuff incident.
Okay. We're going to leave that. We're going to come to insurance deductible.
Yes, ma'am. He actually came a couple of days later after the police took him away and showed up at my door. And I don't know how he got in my locked building. And when I opened the door, I was shocked to see him, certainly. He walked in and he said he needed to get something. I said, you're not allowed to be in the building. He then came in, was trying to make himself comfortable. I was very uncomfortable myself. Conversation ensued. I might have said something about his father. He thought that was derogatory, which was not my intention at all. He picked up a vase and threw it at me across my living room, kept throwing stuff through my toaster oven at me, broke tons of stuff, and therefore I had to file an insurance claim. They paid most of it, but except for $500, my deductible, which I have that documentation.
I'd like to see it. How did her property get destroyed, sir?
She threw a vase at me. I ducked. It went and hit her oven. And they did not take me to jail. I'm a 300-pound guy. If I would hit her, they'd know it.
I'm not...
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When two people get drunk and have a fight, I'm not getting in between that.
Yeah, when she started in, I should have left, but I was drinking, so I couldn't drive to leave.
That's what happened that night. Two of you had too much to drink and had a fight.
And later today...
So you called him and said, could you loan Adrian money to buy a car?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that. That you called him and said, could you lend Adrian money to buy a car and I'll pay you back when I sell the houses. He didn't make up that story.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Matchey says ex-boyfriend Jerry Heck owes for a loan for a motorcycle, an insurance deductible, and an assault.
Okay, listen. When two people get drunk and have a fight, I'm not getting in between that. That's what happened that night. The two of you had too much to drink and had a fight.
Yeah, when she started in, I should have left, but I was drinking, so I couldn't drive to leave.
I'm just asking you whether or not you picked up any of the stuff in her house and threw it. She threw the vase at you first?
Yes.
What'd she say about
She
your
hit
father?
me first.
She
Started
hit you
punching me in
first.
the back. The previous incident, she punched me in the mouth, and I just shoved her off, and she was drunk, so she stumbled.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And there was no...
And they took me home that time, too. I've never been to jail.
Just 1 second. And at that time, at the time that he came into your apartment, you had a temporary protective order, is that right?
No, I got it after that.
So you didn't have any protective order. So what do you mean he's not allowed in your building?
My manager of the building, because she witnessed the police.
Don't tell me what she witnessed. I'm not interested in what you think somebody else witnessed. And I'm not interested in what you think she said.
Well, that's what she
All I'm asking you is, at the time that he entered your apartment and you let him in for the second time after this alleged incident when you were both drunk, you had no protective order.
Correct.
Okay, fine. Did you have a trial for the protective order, sir?
No, ma'am.
You did not?
No.
Did you consent to her having a protective order?
No, I was just told later on that she had filed one.
Did you ever get a permanent protective order?
No.
He owes you $3,000 for the loan, and that's it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. The remainder of your claims are dismissed. We're done.
Always excuse, you may step out.
I believe it was fair.
I'm certainly, happy that I got awarded the $3,000.
She got injured when she hit me in the mouth, and I pushed her away.
He got drunk and threw me against the wall, and it's that simple.
Hopefully, she learns her lesson like I've learned mine.
I just want it to be peaceful.
Now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bird versus Eastlas, step forward.
24-year-old Craig Bird Jr. and his mother, Julie, are suing Craig's grandmother, Ninfa Islas, for an unpaid loan and stolen property.
Mr. Bird, this is your grandmother,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your mother.
Yes.
Which one of you loaned her the money for the car?
I did, Your Honor.
And it is your claim that you loaned your grandmother this money so that she could purchase a car or assist in purchasing a car for her son. Now, when did you loan her the money?
On June 8th, 2015, Your Honor.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you loaning her the money.
Well, the initial agreement was I'll loan her the money for her to get her son a vehicle, and she would repay me after she sold her houses, and that never happened.
Well, where were you when you had this conversation?
In Colorado, on the phone.
Did she call you or did you call her?
She called me.
And tell me what she said to you.
She asked me if I could loan her
Tell me
son.
exactly what she said.
She said, grandson, can you loan Adrian $2,100 to get a vehicle? I said, I don't know, that's a lot of money. She said, I will repay you when I get my houses. And when I sell my houses, I'm putting them up to go for sale on the market.
Did she say when she was putting them up for sale?
No, but
Present time.
They were already there for sale. So
when I sell my houses.
Yes, ma'am.
Has she sold her houses?
Yes.
Did she pay any part of it when she sold the houses?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I don't owe him any money.
No. Did he hand the money to you?
No, ma'am.
Who did you hand the money to?
I handed it to her son because he was in Colorado with me. She was in Texas selling her houses.
Ah, I see. Now I understand, Mr. Bird. Now I got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have a ridiculous countersuit, which I probably won't even entertain. And I'm not entertaining your complaint for emotional distress, because the only one that's usually emotionally distressed after a day here is me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Craig Bird Jr. and his mother, Julie, claim Craig's grandmother, Ninfa Islas, owes for a loan and stolen property. Ninfa is countersuing for damaged and missing property and motel expenses.
Okay, so you called him and said, could you loan Adrian money to buy a car?
No, ma'am.
You never called him?
No.
Oh, I don't believe that. He didn't make up that story. He didn't make up that story, that you called him, pay you back when I sell the houses. He didn't make up that story. Where is Adrian now? Do you know?
No, ma'am.
In the wind. Where's Adrian now?
I don't know.
Good. Did you sell any of the houses that you had up for sale?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. $2,100. That's for you. On the car.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, there's lots of other little issues here that I don't know whether we want to get into. You have a ridiculous countersuit, which I probably won't even entertain. And I'm not entertaining your complaint for emotional distress, because the only one that's usually emotionally distressed after a day here is me. You claim that at some point your grandmother took property from the house where she was staying that didn't belong to her.
Yes,
Did it
Your
belong to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what she took.
She took miscellaneous items as rake, trash cans.
Listen, my parents didn't send me to school for dozens of years so that I could deal with a rake and trash cans between a daughter and a mother.
There were expensive items, an air conditioner.
Let's get to the expensive items that you claim she took.
There was an air conditioner and also a barbecue grill.
An air conditioner, a window air conditioner?
Yes.
Was it in the window?
No, it was in the garage where the items were that she took were.
Central. I don't need it.
So the answer
I did
would
not
be,
take it,
the
no,
answer
ma'am.
would be no. Okay. A barbecue grill. What kind of barbecue grill?
An outside barbecue grill, like a smoker. They also picked that up. We asked them to bring it back. They didn't bring it back.
Did you take the smoker?
That belongs to him.
Who is him?
Alfred Medina, my son.
You bought the smoker?
Yes, ma'am. I paid $25 for it, and it was mine. I took it.
Sit down. I'm not dealing with the smoker either. All right, so we're finished with you. You get your loan back of $2,100.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, just for giggles, you want to tell me you came to live with them for a period of time. It didn't work out. There was some sort of major kerfuffle, and you had to leave. So you want them to pay for your motel expenses, the security deposit you had to put down on an apartment. Are those things that you think that they're responsible for?
Yes, ma'am.
They're not. Okay. How old are you?
I'm 58.
Well, then you'd be responsible for your own living expenses. Money owed for damaged and missing property. What property? Of the rake and the smoker and the air conditioner from the garage. So I want you to tell me what missing property that you claim they have that belongs to you.
I have a Virgin Mary that is very priceless to me.
Okay. I can't help you with the Virgin Mary that's priceless to you. You don't have it anymore. What else?
In my property, I lost all my tools that I had recently used to remodel both of the homes that I had sold in Amarillo.
Counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The German Shepherd took off.
So it was not on a leash?
Not at that time, no.
The neighbors saw it all unfold.
The German Shepherd was in front of Cody's house, sniffing around. And that's when his pit bull had came out.
And the attack was hard to watch.
The dog had then latched onto my dog's neck, pulling.
Her daughter, Krista, did have a lot of blood on her.
Your dog was out of your control.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Laura Sazwa is suing her neighbor, 22-year-old Cody McMaster, for vet bills as the result of a dog fight.
Order. All right. Yes, case number 301 on the calendar in the matter of Sazwa versus McMaster.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Sazwa, it is your claim that while you and this is your daughter?
Yes.
Were walking your two dogs.
Right.
You have a large dog and a small dog.
Yes.
Show me where you live in relation to the defendant. I see you live where there's a P and defendant is the D.
I live here, and Cody lives right here. There is a small house that lives back between us, with a tenant there.
You were walking your dogs on what date at what time?
Okay, what had happened was we have a backyard, and we have actually 3 dogs. The 2 dogs that were going to be going out were a Chihuahua and a German Shepherd, and we chained them up. Went to chain up the German Shepherd, and I had the little one in my hand, and the German Shepherd took off.
The German Shepherd took off, so it was not on a leash?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. Go ahead. So the dog was not on a leash.
Right. She took off, went into his yard somehow, because he does have a fenced-in yard.
Okay.
The Chihuahua took off across the street. I yelled for Krista, my daughter here, hurry up and get a leash and go get Layla, because she was in Cody's
yard. Go get
yard.
Layla, because Layla was on his property.
In his property. And so that's what she did. She would have got the leash. I went across the street out of his backyard out of the driveway. A truck pulls up and knocks on Cody's door for a few seconds.
Okay, just a second. You glossed over that for me. So your daughter went and got a leash.
Yes.
Stand up. And what did you do when you got the leash?
I got the leash and I ran over to our defendant's property and grabbed the dog. I leashed her. I then walked to the front of his yard where the street lined up, and my mom was coming, and I...
Just a second. At that time, your dog was leashed?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at that moment, were you on his property or the street?
When I was walking my dog home, I was on the street.
You weren't home yet?
No.
So tell me what you saw.
I was waiting for my mom to bring my smaller dog with. We were going to go then walk them. There was someone at his house that opened the door. 2 large pit bulls came out.
Were you the one who opened the door?
No.
Who opened the door?
My roommate.
Who's not here?
No.
Well, what did she see?
She's a neighbor across the street, and she's seen the whole interactment.
Okay, great. You were a neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, he wasn't home?
No.
Your last name is?
Rivera.
Okay, Miss Rivera, I want you to go over to that map and show me at what point you began watching the action.
Well, actually, I was in my driveway. That
Show me where you...
lot right next door to my house.
Okay.
And my driveway is right in here.
Okay.
I was outside that afternoon cleaning out my trunk, and Laura's little dog came running across the street into my yard.
Okay. And when she came running across the street into your yard, I assume Miss Sazwa came and got her.
Yes.
Did you see her daughter?
No.
So far her story is correct.
Yes.
That the dogs got out, the Chihuahua ran across the street, she went to get the Chihuahua.
Yes.
What's the next thing that you saw?
As she had her dog in her arms, she was walking back across the street towards her property, and her German Shepherd was following behind her.
Behind
her? Yes.
Behind?
Laura. I don't know her. I'm sorry, I don't know her last name.
Okay, so her German Shepherd was following behind her, and...
Yes. As she was walking back, the German Shepherd had stopped in front of Cody's house.
Where exactly?
Right here in the front yard, because he's got a pull-up driveway, and the German Shepherd was in front of Cody's house, in front of his driveway, sniffing around.
Okay, on the lawn, because you're pointing to two different areas. You're
I'm sorry.
Pointing to
yes,
two different
this is
areas.
Cody's yard right here in the front.
Okay, that's the front yard.
Yes.
Where was the dog sniffing around?
In the front yard, just because he's got a couple trees and stuff out there.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's when someone came and knocked on Cody, and his pit bull had came out.
Did you see what happened when his pit bull
Yes, I
came?
did. At first, they were just growling. I'm sorry. At first, they were just growling, you know, like barking and
So you
growling.
observed this?
Yes.
At any time, did you see this young lady?
Only at the end of it, when she had jumped in and tried to separate them.
That's the first time you saw her?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
When the dog came out, the roommate was able to, like, kind of get him to, like, stand away for a second, but they were both kind of just, like, growling and, you know, antagonizing each other. And that's when they kind of just... They both went in for each other. They both just launched in.
Now, when they went after each other, I'm going to ask you to make one more trip back to that poster. When they were going after each other, can you show me where exactly that was?
Well, at this point, they were more towards the front of Cody's house in the street on Arthur.
So they were in the street?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now you can go back. And it was at that point that you saw this young lady?
Yes.
Trying to get them apart?
Yes.
When did you see Mr. McMaster?
About maybe 5 to 7 minutes, his roommate had came out and they were throwing water on the dogs to separate them. And we couldn't get them apart. I mean, there were other people on the block that were, you know...
But they managed to get one of the dogs away, so it was just the 2 dogs that were fighting?
Your Honor, it was only 2 dogs involved in the fight, not 3.
No, but he has 2 pit bulls.
Yeah, but only one
Only
got
one
out.
was involved. Only one got out, and one was involved with the fight.
Right.
Okay.
At this point, everyone was just trying to separate them. Okay. And that's when Laura had ran inside and grabbed her cell phone and was saying, I'm going to call the cops. You know, my daughter's probably injured. Because her daughter, Krissa, did have a lot of blood on her. And we all thought, you know, she did get, you know, punctured wounds or something because she was in the middle of the fight. But in reality, it was just the blood from the dogs latching onto each other.
I believe her.
You do?
I do. I believe her.
She wasn't
Have
there.
to pay your own vet bills.
She wasn't there.
I believe her. Your dog was out of your control and was actually on his property. If she were going to lie to me, she would make it a great lie. She would say that the fight took place in his front lawn, but it actually didn't. It took place in the street. It had moved out to the street.
Right, and it actually went a little further down because that's where the dogs were in his house.
So it's a lesson for you. You had vet bills of $300 some odd. What?
Can I ask a question? Are you related?
No, just a second.
I'm sorry.
Ask.
I'm sorry.
Tell me what you want to ask her.
I wanted to know if they were related.
No.
They're not related. She's just telling the truth.
Well,
She's just telling the truth. Your dog was not leashed. You told that story because that story, if your dog was actually leashed and his dog was out of his control, then they would be responsible for your vet bills. But you have two dogs that were out of their owner's control and they had a fight. And your dog got the worst of the bargain. What?
I would just like to do my my story of what had happened. It's quite different than hers.
You can tell whatever story you like. I'm telling you, I don't believe that you had your dog on a leash. You going to tell me you had your dog on a leash? But just a second. Are you going to tell me you had your dog on a leash?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The dog had then latched onto my dog's neck. My dog was scared to death and whining, and I fell to the ground. The dog had scratched me several times. Okay.
I don't believe your dog was on a leash during this fight.
And later today,
If you were told not to spray in May or June of 2015, did I get it?
You did.
Bingo.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Laura Saswell claims neighbor Cody McMaster is responsible for vet bills resulting from a dog fight.
Okay, you going to tell me you had your dog on a leash?
When the dog got attacked, my dog was on a leash.
Yes. Go show me.
Okay. The dog did get out, was in Cody's property, okay? So while I was latching my dog, someone banged on his door and said, they didn't say anything.
While you were latching your dog?
On the leash.
Go ahead.
I then brought my female dog, Layla, out to the street. My mom and I were gonna walk our dogs. We were already over here, and the two dogs dove right at us. We were all the way over here, and the dog had then latched onto my dog's neck, pulling, and would not let go. My dog was not fighting back. My dog was scared to death and whining, and I fell to the ground. The dog had scratched me several times. He has two dogs. The two dogs were out. The two roommates were able to get the first dog back in the house, and his second dog was the attacker. Okay.
I don't believe your dog was on a leash during this fight.
Your Honor.
What?
She was saying that my dog wasn't attacked, but I have pictures showing injuries from the fight.
I believe that your dog...
I was just...
Yeah, pay for your own dogs. They were both out of control. She has a large dog. The large dog, A, was trespassing on your property at some point, so that you have two dogs who clearly are designed for protection. You have two pit bulls?
Yeah, pit bulls.
Mm-hmm. And you had her large dog that was on your property, was loose on your property, and I don't know what was going on inside because I would have actually liked to have heard the roommate, but you brought the right witness. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Pay your own vet bill.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's irresponsible, and he knows that.
I feel like it was very fair.
If you're going to have an animal, take care of it.
We're neighbors. I mean, we got to live together.
Dogs are the ones that's going to suffer from this, from him being careless.
I hope we can be civil.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Larkin versus Nelson. Step forward.
Brady Larkin is suing James Nelson for car damage as the result of lacquer overspray.
Mr. Larkin, you maintain a storage unit in which you keep motorcycles and some other vehicles because you're a collector.
Mm-hmm.
How many vehicles do you have?
370 El Caminos, and then...
Three what?
1970 El Caminos, and then 2 Harley Davidsons.
Okay. Do you have pictures of the cars?
I do.
I'd like to see them. And the storage unit, I assume, is a big one.
About 1,000 square feet.
Your claim is that Mr. Nelson was negligent in spray, which is in the same vicinity as yours, and because he was careless, gunk got on your car, cars or vehicles. When did you notice that these cars had gunk on them?
When I removed them from storage in the spring of 2016.
Give me the month.
April, I believe it was.
And prior to that, when had you seen the cars?
I've been in my unit a couple times over the winter, but
okay, well, give me prior to April of 2016. When did you see the cars?
I would suppose I stopped in there every month or so. I was in the same building at another unit that my business was in.
So you saw them a month before?
Right, but I didn't physically, take them out, wash them, and notice the damage.
So you don't know when this damage took place?
Sometime over the wintertime.
Which is a long period of time. Okay, what is this a picture of?
That is the wall between Jim's unit and my unit. Shows that the previous tenant tried to seal up said leaks, I guess, which obviously wasn't done correctly.
What leaks?
Well, the building is not the best construction. It's kind of a little lower income.
So could you describe this gunk that you found in April?
It's overspray. And, my witness can explain overspray a little better than I can. And
well, I would like to hear what that is.
Okay. Mike, and then
overspray. Tell me what your name is.
Mike Warner. I've been doing paint work for about 40 years, 35 years. Overspray is a product from the air pressure in the gun turning the liquid into a spray form. It makes a mist, and it's a very fine mist, and it can get in any cracks like a gas. So any adjacent rooms, if you don't have proper ventilation, the overspray can fall on it, but it's paint, so when it dries, it doesn't come off so easy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you buff it, it does come off.
Yes. Sometimes you got to work harder than others, depending on how thick it is.
Well, so, sometimes I work harder, sometimes you work harder, sometimes a fix is easy, sometimes you're sweating over it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brady Larkin says James Nelson owes for car damage as the result of lacquer overspray.
Go ahead.
There's two ways to take it off. Either buff it with a machine or chemical, and chemicals can obviously wreck some stuff.
Okay. When you buff it with a machine,
yes,
it does come off.
Yes. Sometimes you got to work harder than others, depending on how thick it is.
Well, so, sometimes I work harder, sometimes you work harder, sometimes a fix is easy, sometimes you're sweating over it. Now, what were you spraying, Mr.
At the time that he had his vehicles in there, black paint, gray primer, white paint, gray primer, and
were
green.
you supposed to be doing any spraying in the unit?
Sure. Been doing it for 14 years.
In that unit?
Yes.
And how long had your vehicles been in that unit?
From about late September, early October of 2015 until April of 2016.
So this was the first year that your cars were there?
Correct, and I was told that he was no longer spraying in his unit.
You can't tell me what you were told, sir.
Well, he was shut down by the Fargo Police Department for spraying in there and was...
Okay, but he had been doing it for 14 years.
He admits to it in writing that he was...
I'd like to see it.
That he was shut down.
No, I believe he was shut down. It doesn't mean he hadn't been doing it for 14 years.
Oh, for sure. You're right.
Yeah. Do you have any pictures where I could see actually what this gunk looks like on your car?
I have a video that you could watch, Your Honor. Might have to turn the volume up.
Typically, overspray would only land on the upper parts because it would fall down here, but this is what normal paint feels like. Smooth. This is overspray. I mean, clearly.
Did you buff off the overspray?
Not yet, no.
But you're going to?
Yes, well, we'd like to eventually, yes.
Mr. Nelson, you've used this storage unit for 14 years, and you've been spraying things in there for 14 years. Do you do that for a living?
Yes, I sprayed cabinets with a clear lacquer up until the spring before he came in there.
And had anyone been in the unit that he just started to rent?
Always.
And do you know what was stored in those units?
They're not so much storage, they're workshops. And what he's complaining about on his cars is a clear lacquer, which I used to spray a lot of. And I didn't spray a drop of any clear substance during that time.
You should start buffing off his cars. He's not getting $4,500 from the defendant. You have to show Mr. Larkin that somehow the defendant was negligent in what he was doing, which he had done for 14 years.
Oh, he was negligent?
You have to show somehow that he was negligent in doing what he did for me to be satisfied that he's responsible to pay you.
Well, he states in there that he sprayed in that time frame, and there's nobody else in the building that sprays it.
I didn't spray any clear lacquer.
Just a second. Do you rent the shed or do you own it?
We rent.
They rent just like he rents, just like you do.
Correct, but he was shut down and told not to spray. Yes, that's the...
Just a second. Well,
before I
that's
moved my vehicles in there.
That's interesting.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. When did the fire department shut you down, Mr. Nelson?
May, June of 2015. But they didn't shut me down. They just said not to spray in there because of...
Just a second. If you were told not to spray in May or June of 2015... Did I get it?
You did.
Bingo.
If you were told not to spray in May or June of 2015 by the fire department, then you have a problem.
I quit spraying.
Mr. Nelson, I don't believe that. Somehow this happened. Okay.
Ma'am?
Now, Mike,
Yes.
let's you and I have a discussion.
Sure.
It doesn't cost $5,000 to take a buffer and buff out.
No, it costs
cars.
about $400 per vehicle.
Yes.
The bike's a little bit more. One motorcycle is a big, they call them baggers, and it's flat matte black. So there is no way to buff it off of that. You can't take chemicals off it. It'll ruin the finish. It'll shine it up. That's why the repaint is too thick apart is another estimate, I believe, from Pure Performance. But because the one bike has to be repainted to do.
And are you going to do that?
Yes, if we get this settled, yeah.
If the others can be buffed off.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Nelson, there's no question that you, in violation of what you were told by the fire department, sprayed after the time that you were told not to spray, and that's what was on his vehicles. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,600. We're finished. Thank you.
He doesn't have any green paint on his car.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
He's got clear paint on his cars, and I painted green paint.
Doing it too long with no ventilation, I think.
They were so dirty that I couldn't see anything.
They're my prized possessions.
So I quit spraying lacquer. I never sprayed a drop after that.
Check on your stuff a little more and see what your neighbor's up to.
Her dog didn't bite you, but it frightened you.
Panic over a dog on the loose.
He jumped the fence. He scared me out of my mind.
It's a pretty high fence.
Now, I don't know what that dog would have did to my baby if I hadn't ran and grabbed her.
But the neighbor
The city told me to put the gate up properly, and I did that.
says she's barking up the wrong tree.
Who called the dog back?
It's Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tasha Jones is suing her neighbor, Tasha Bell, for damages due to a dog attack and harassment.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 326 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Bell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Jones, how long have you and Miss Bell been neighbors?
Actually, I've been staying in my house about 3 years. She wasn't living there at the time I moved in. She moved in there
How long have you been there?
Since November of 2015.
What kind of a dog do you have?
A Rhodesian Ridgeback.
How big a dog is that?
She comes to about right here.
And you have problems with this dog. That's
Yes,
what this
ma'am.
case is about. In this case, you allege that you were out in your driveway and her dog got loose. Her dog didn't bite you, but it
No.
frightened you.
Well, this is not the first time. Okay.
But it frightened you.
Right.
It frightened you, causing you to fall over and injuring yourself, and also your daughter
My
was
1-year-old, yes, is not here.
So I want you to tell me, what time of the day did this happen on September 19th?
Actually, it was the 20th. On the 20th, I was outside putting some, like I said, they always...
Just a minute, they have a fenced-in yard.
Right, I got pictures to show you.
They have a
all that,
fenced
too.
yard.
Right, it's not properly secured. The gate has a tire holding the front of it up. So on this particular day, I'm outside putting some water in my truck, and they let the dog out. He starts barking immediately at my 1-year-old. So I keep her close to me, put some water in my truck, go back to fill my jug up again, and as I'm looking up, her dog is coming over the fence, but I have told Miss Bell on 3 or 4 more occasions to please put your dogs up. She has more than one dog, by the way.
Can I see pictures of the fence?
You want me to keep talking?
It's a pretty high fence.
It's not that high. She
Yeah,
put those boards up there probably.
No, it's a pretty high fence. I see it in relation to the car, because there's a car here.
And I'm going to tell you, when he ran back out my yard, he went through the front of the fence.
What do you mean he went through the front of the fence?
When not her daughter here, but when her other daughter, I was screaming for my life.
Just a sec. Hey, let's pay careful attention to me.
Yes, ma'am.
You told me a moment ago that the dog jumped over the fence.
Yeah, he jumped over the fence.
Now you said...
Daughter called him when I was screaming. She heard me screaming. He actually ran and went through the front of the fence to go back home.
To get back home, you went through the fence. But what you're telling me is that her dog jumped over this fence.
Right.
And it frightened you.
Frightened me and my daughter. I'm going to tell you the reason why it frightened me, because a previous accident, her dogs jumped the fence and mauled my daughter here, over 20 bites, stitches, and stuff. So I wasn't going to let that happen again. She has not complied with the leash law for her dogs. Like I said, I have called my neighbor 3 or 4 times asking...
Was this dog taken away?
Oh, we gave that dog away. Taz did that. And that dog was given away.
It was 2 dogs.
If you were...
2.
And when that happened, my fence wasn't up.
Was not up?
It wasn't. And the city told me to put the gate up properly, and I did that.
No, ma'am.
Did you have homeowner's insurance?
Yes, ma'am. And she did file a claim.
And when was that?
That was the beginning of October of 2015.
And was that claim settled?
Yes, it was.
For how much?
$100,000.
No, ma'am. It was settled for $51,000.
That's probably what she got.
Just a second. I don't want you to interrupt her again. Okay. What was the net amount that your daughter put in the bank?
The total amount was $51,000. When my daughter got through with the lawyer fees and everything, it was $32,000. Yes, ma'am.
But you collected that money?
Yeah, my daughter collected. It's in a trust fund for her.
Great. Actually doesn't make up for these injuries.
It doesn't. You're right.
It doesn't make up for the injuries.
My minimum was $100,000. It was a $500,000 liability policy, but they did give her the minimum of $100,000.
Do you still have it?
Through State Farm, yes, ma'am.
You still have the policy. Okay, and then
No. They canceled the policy after they paid her off.
Did you get another policy?
No.
You should have another policy. You have how many dogs?
3.
What
which
kind
is
are
2 only living there now.
One is a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Yes, and the other one is like a little German Shepherd.
How little a German Shepherd?
It's maybe 4 months, almost 4 months.
So it's a puppy?
Yes.
You should have insurance. Homeowners.
Okay.
Get it. Otherwise, she won't have to worry about you. She'll sue you and she'll own your house.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Judge, I just want to say, none of this is true what she's saying. My daughter could have been killed.
Just listen to me. We're not here to talk about your daughter.
Okay.
This happened a long time ago. You sued her. Your daughter was compensated for her injuries. And this dog, if I believe you, didn't bite you, and you fell.
No, I didn't fall. Actually, I was running with my jug in my hand. I threw my 1-year-old behind me, and I slipped and twisted my ankle. Threw my daughter behind me.
Just a second. Just a second.
Here's the picture.
Shh, I'm speaking.
Okay.
So what you're telling me is that you were walking with your water jug.
To fill it up again, right.
Right. And you fell and you
slipped. No, I didn't fall until after I seen her dog coming charging towards my 1-year-old.
What did you fall on? How did you hurt yourself?
I didn't fall. Let's clear that up. I twisted my ankle trying to run and grab my 1-year-old and throw her behind me because I was scared that dog was going to tear my little 1-year-old apart. And I got the pictures to show it.
Show what?
Show the injuries on my daughter's head when I had to throw her behind me to protect her. Because, I mean, I don't trust my neighbor dogs. And I don't know what that dog would have did to my baby if I hadn't ran and grabbed her. And this the pictures of that. We went to the emergency.
Could I see pictures of the baby, please?
And this the pictures, and I got the bills also, and where they wrapped my ankle with ACE wrap, and my daughter, they had to take x-rays of her head.
Now I'd like to see the police report that you filed.
I don't have a police report.
Why not?
Because
I want to see your report from animal control that you filed.
But it's something wrong with my email, and I couldn't pull it out, but they did give me both reports, and I can't pull it out of my email, and I don't know why.
On what date did you call the police?
The same day. They came out. I had a panic attack because I've been bit by a dog, and she's saying her dog's puppy.
Let me explain something. Doesn't do anything purposely. She was told to put up a fence. She put up a fence. It looks like a high enough fence. You say no. I say, this looks like a chain link fence that could keep in a dog that she says is about 3 feet off the ground?
Yes.
3 feet off the ground. Ordinarily, this would be a reasonable fence to keep that dog in. I wouldn't think that that dog couldn't jump over this fence. You say it did. You were home.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up next to your mom. Tell me your first name.
Tykeria Washington.
You were home on that day.
Yes, ma'am.
And you heard the plaintiff outside?
Well, she was inside the house, like yelling, stating that she was going to call the police.
And where was your mom?
She was outside.
Your mom was outside?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me what called your attention to the plaintiff that day.
When she was screaming, like yelling at the door, stating
Yelling at what door?
At her side door, she was yelling, stating that she was going to call the police.
So she was outside?
Yelling, screaming that
But with the door open?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where was her baby?
I guess she was inside, too. The baby was
Had you
inside.
seen her outside before?
That day?
That day. Had you seen her outside near her truck with her baby?
Well, I didn't see, because I guess her water hydrant is behind the truck, so I didn't, like, really see, like, where she was.
How old is the Rhodesian Ridgeback, the dog?
She 1 year.
Have you ever seen her slip through the fence?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember when your mom put up the fence?
A couple weeks after the attack, she put the fence up.
And you've never seen your dog get through that fence?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever seen the dog get through that fence?
No, I never seen her jump over the fence, no.
Could you stand up? Tell me your first name.
Taylor Ross.
You see their dog in the yard frequently?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever see the dog scale the fence, jump over the fence?
No, ma'am.
You. Did you ever see the dog get through the fence?
No, ma'am.
I don't think this dog jumped over the fence.
Your Honor, he jumped the fence. He scared me out of my mind. When the ambulance came, my blood pressure was sky high. I'm scared of dogs, regardless of how little or small they are. I actually got bit by a dog. He jumped over that fence, and when he got secure, I'm actually the one that told her about the kids that tore her fence down. I actually was the one
I'm not talking about then. I'm talking about now that the fence is up.
No, she told you that the fence got put up after my daughter got bit.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's been up and it's been in that condition. It actually hangs. This is what I'm going to tell you. The dog got over that fence that day, and her daughter, her oldest daughter, is the one that seen him in my face barking. Only thing that kept that dog from biting me in my 1-year-old was I had that jug in my hand. When her oldest daughter called that dog back.
What's your older daughter's name?
My oldest daughter's name is Tatiana Washington, and it was 2 daughters and my son that was out there. It was this one and it was Jalea. Jalea's only 13 years old. She was out there, and Jeremy, he's 21. He was out there, and myself.
On that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Who called the dog back?
Didn't anybody call the dog back. The dog was already in the gate.
Okay. Now I'll see your medical reports.
Mr. Bill's going to be on top.
None of these reports has a write-up?
What you mean write-up?
A write-up of what you told the emergency room doctor.
It's on there.
Just a second.
Spring for
Just
me.
a second. You have any other medical reports?
No, ma'am. That's all I have.
I find it hard to believe that a dog jumped over this fence,
He
actually.
did, Your Honor. I can promise you that.
And the dog didn't bite you?
No, thank God he didn't bite me or my 1-year-old, because I threw her behind me. That's how she got that on me, because I grabbed her, and that's how they took the x-rays of her arm, because when we got to the emergency room, she didn't want to lift her arm, so they took an x-ray. I had to literally throw my daughter behind me, and I got a brick house, and wasn't no one out there when this happened, and that's the truth. Only person came to my rescue was her oldest daughter. I was hollering at the top of my lungs, somebody help, help. Nobody was out there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm asking you the question. I'm prepared to make the call.
Right.
Which daughter was it?
It was the daughter that drives.
All of them drive.
I drive.
She's the daughter that I had to call the police
Just a
on.
second.
Her daughter came to my yard trying to fight me, by the way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tasha Jones says Tasha Bell owes for damages from a dog attack and harassment.
Now, where's your older daughter?
No, she wasn't
Great.
the one she's
Just a
talking
second.
about.
That's who she says was there.
But I have a phone number.
Give me her cell number.
It's 812-82, and her name is Tatiana Washington.
Your Honor, that's not the name she called when the police came out. She called her Kayla.
Jalea, she's 13.
Just a second.
That's not the one, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm asking you the question. I'm prepared to make the call.
Right.
Which daughter was it?
It was the daughter that drives.
All of them drive.
I drive.
All of them drive. I have 4 daughters
she's
that
the daughter
drive.
that got the white car. She's
That's
the daughter
Tatiana.
that I had to call the police
Just a
on.
second.
Her daughter came to my yard trying to fight me, by the way.
No.
The police came out.
All I'm asking is the person that I'm calling Tatiana?
I don't know her real name. I never got
Tatiana does have a white car. She
to
does
none of
have a
her
white car,
kids.
but I'm telling you, she wasn't the one that was there.
I'm talking about the
It was
daughter that I'm
Jalea.
talking about.
Listen, I find it hard to believe that this dog jumped over the fence. I think that the dog might have jumped at the fence and you got scared and grabbed your daughter. That's a possibility. And that is enough to make you nervous. I don't think that that dog can get over this fence. You telling me that there was a child there of hers that called the dog back. I'm prepared to call that child.
I don't know my daughter.
Because I have 6 daughters. Tatiana is the oldest.
Can't help.
And, Your Honor, I'm going to tell you, she has been harassing me from no end. I pull up and my daughter tell you, she started pointing at me. You already sued me once. You're not going to sue me again. Then the second time her daughter, the one I'm talking about that witnessed this, came in my yard and asked me, do you got a problem? I said, no, I have a problem. I'm just going to call your mom. So I called Miss Bell. She came over. We talked like adults. And I told her, I said, Miss Bell, I'm going to call the police because I'm pregnant. I don't need your daughter. I don't need them coming over trying to fight me and my kids because of their dogs. And I have all right to protect my kids from her animals.
You absolutely do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Talicia said the reason she asked her if she had a problem because she had been mean mugging her when she was outside that whole day.
Where is Celicia?
She's at the house. Her number is 662-23.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tasha Jones says neighbor Tasha Bell is responsible for damages from a dog attack.
I have to believe that the dog jumped over this fence.
You don't know my kids. The daughter that she's talking about, that she called the police on her saying that she's asked her, do you have a problem? Her name is Talicia Washington. She's 15. She got the wrong daughter.
Is that the person who called the dog in?
And it's the person that I had to call the police.
So that's Talicia Washington.
Yes.
And Talicia said the reason she asked her if she had a problem because she had been mean mugging her when she was outside that whole day. And she asked her if
where is Celicia?
She's at the house. Her number is 662. She don't even know who she's speaking to. Lying self, harassing her.
Is this Celicia? Celicia, this is Judge Judy. How are you today? Good, thank you. I got your number from your mom, and I have a couple of questions for you, okay? Do you remember September 20th? Were you outside when the dog jumped the fence? Did you call the dog? What's the dog's name, by the way? Did you call the dog back into your yard? You did not. Tell me what you saw. The dog was in the gate. You didn't call the dog in the gate. Did you hear your neighbor screaming? Did you hear the dog barking? Okay. Celicia, thanks very much. Bye-bye now.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, Celicia says the dog was never outside the gate. I have two things that I have to consider. One of the things that I have to consider is whether I actually can visualize this dog jumping over the gate. Quite frankly, I cannot. Celicia says the dog was always inside the gate. Negligent. Clearly she was not, because she built a fence pursuant to what she was told she had to do. She built a chain link fence that looks, to my eyes, sufficiently high to restrain a medium-sized dog. So I don't think that I can ascribe any negligence to her. Your daughter has said she's never seen the dog outside the fence or crawl through the fence. So I don't know what happened that day. And it may have been that the dog went charging towards the fence and you got frightened. But I'm not satisfied that I can ascribe any negligence to the defendant. Your case is dismissed. We're finished.
Your Honor, please.
We're finished.
Step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She need money. Not working and need money and wanting to come back for more. She sued me before.
It was a lot of lies told in the courtroom.
I offered to pay her medical bills, but once I received a call from her lawyer.
My daughter got bitten, over 20 bites on her body. She definitely has dangerous dogs.
That I was being sued, I ended all that right then and there.
I have nothing else to say to my neighbor. It's clearly that.
No, it doesn't. You know, the truth will set you free.
She's a liar and she can't be trusted.
I'm glad that justice was served today.
You run some sort of a kids event.
I paid Mr. DeLeon for the photography and video.
The cameraman came cheap.
How much did you pay him?
$500.
He discounted you $700. You got a bargain.
But she says his product wasn't picture perfect.
You're unhappy with the quality of the pictures and the quality of the video.
Very dark, a lot of movement, blurry.
Don't use them again.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Kimberly Williams is suing photographer Capone de Leon for providing substandard services.
Order. All rise. That's case number 275 on the calendar in the matter of Williams versus de Leon. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
Ms. Williams, you run some sort of a kids event, a beauty contest, talent show for kids.
It's actually a debutante program and ball.
Well, what does that mean?
So what it entails basically is we work with high school girls and providing them with academic workshops. We work with them, teaching them etiquette.
Profit organization?
No, ma'am, we're a nonprofit 501c3.
Who funds you?
I am pretty much funded by way of getting the funds from the registration fees and fundraisers.
Just a second. Registration fees from the girls?
Yes, ma'am.
How much does each girl pay?
They paid last year was $400.
$400 per girl?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
The program is throughout the school year. We start at the beginning of the school year, we end at the end of the school year.
How many girls did you have enrolled last year?
We had 4 last year.
And at the end of the year, you have some sort of an event?
Yes, ma'am. We actually host a ball for the girls, which is where they're presented.
And you hired the defendant to photograph it?
And to do video.
How much did you pay him?
$500.
And you want your money back because you claim that he didn't do a good job?
Yes, ma'am. The pictures, which I could show you copies of the pictures, they were taken with a green background, but we purchased a Winter Wonderland background, which was not provided in the final production of the pictures.
Who purchased the Winter Wonderland
I
background?
paid Mr. DeLeon for the photography and video.
No, the
service.
Winter Wonderland background.
Yes, ma'am. It was a part of the package.
Just a second. Who did you purchase it from?
Mr. DeLeon.
So he was supposed to use a Winter Wonderland background when he did the still photography?
Yes, ma'am. That was supposed to be the final production.
I don't know what that means.
The product that he would backdrop. And instead,
well, you have to use it. Don't you have to photograph it on that background?
No, ma'am. He was supposed to edit it and add the pictures to that background.
Let me see what the pictures you are complaining about look like. He did come and do the event. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. He did the actual event.
And when you hired him and gave him the $1,500...
$500.
Well, $500. Did you tell him that he would be able to make extra money from the girls buying their photographs?
Yes, ma'am. That was
Just a second. Did you tell him that is my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so this is clearly against a green backdrop.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you supposed to provide a different backdrop?
We were originally going to get a backdrop purchased off Amazon. Where they were coming from was China, and the deposit wasn't made till really close to the event, so we weren't able to do that. What I told her is I'd be able to do the backdrop on the green screen and then switch it out in editing.
Did you do that?
I wasn't able to. She told me to stop putting it online. So my process,
What do you mean stop?
is we take the pictures, we edit it. Originally, those pictures that you're looking at have been edited through Lightroom. It's Adobe Lightroom. So out of the camera, they're raw. They don't look as good as they do right there. We edit it through Lightroom, bring out the colors and everything like that. And then the second process would be to put it online where the backdrops would be, where they can order it. She didn't want any ordering to be done online. Yeah, absolutely.
Other than this green, I mean, the green isn't terrible, but you can put it on.
Correct.
Okay, fine. Good. And there were 4 girls.
Yes, ma'am.
So he took still pictures.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did he take a video?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you
and
have
there's
it?
also clips of the
I'd like to see it.
video clips. This particular video is one of the dances with the debutantes alone at the ball. And the 4 girls. And as you can see, the lighting's not very well. It's very dark, a lot of movement, blurry. And then this is a different video clip.
Just a second, I'm looking. I don't need somebody to tell me what I'm looking at. Do the girls provide their own dresses?
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody's taking their own pictures?
There are some people that are taking photos, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you got pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got a video?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're unhappy with the quality of the pictures and the quality of the video?
That would be correct, and I'm also unhappy with the fact that I did not get the backdrop that I paid for, because the pictures that you see there were supposed to be for purchase for the parents if they wanted to purchase packages of the background. It doesn't provide us what we were looking for professionally.
Don't use them again.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't use them again. He says that he could put it on a different background. You told him not to put it up so that people could order it. You told him to stop putting it up. Did you tell him to stop putting it up?
He never explained to me that that's how his program worked, that he would have to post it online first before he can change the background. That never came up. He told me he would be able to put it on the backdrop that I paid for, and that he would have packages available the night of the production so that they could actually, after the event was over, go to him and make purchases there on the spot. That never happened because he did not change the background. So it was never a discussion about putting it online first.
When did you give him the $500? On what date?
I gave him $200 deposit.
On what date?
June 10th. It looks like the $200 deposit, June 10th.
When was the event?
June 26th.
6/26?
Yes, ma'am. 6/26.
16 days later?
Yes, ma'am. But I have been speaking with him since March.
I don't care whether you've been speaking to him. You gave him a deposit June 10th.
But I had tried to reach him several times prior. I wasn't able to reach him.
Miss Williams, I would suggest you still running this 501c3 that you charge for? Yeah. I suggest that next time you have a contract in writing about everything that you want. Right now, you hired somebody for $500 and taking still pictures of the 4 girls. And it certainly looks to me as if this is a small event. Is this the smallest class you've ever had?
Yes, ma'am, and there is a contract.
I'd like to see it.
Starts here, the very bottom starts here, and then it flips over.
Well, first of all, this thing is unsigned. Second of all, it says photography contract. There is nothing here about a backdrop, and there's nothing here about pictures will be available on the date of the event.
I have that also in text messages as well.
First of all, this contract isn't signed, but if this is your piece, if this is your, where is it signed?
I have the signed.
It's electronic, yes.
I just want to make sure it's the same one.
I created it with Google Forms, so it is an online.
Okay. It says photography session for debutantes. Personal shots that they will be able to purchase prints for themselves. Packages to be provided. This cost is for the setup. $100. Event photography, photographic documentation of the entire event, and this covers raw footage only. The entire event, raw footage only, $300. Event photography, images captured in the event, which will include hundreds of images covered on the disc, $200. And event video editing, this covers the editing of all video footage into one final production featuring the event delivered on DVD, $400. That came to $1,200, which he discounted you $700, which leaves the grand total of $500. You got a bargain.
Yes, ma'am, and that was the price that we actually agreed upon.
Good, and that's what you got. You got pictures and you got a video. We're done. You're not satisfied? Don't use them again. Your case is dismissed.
Or is there excuse? You may step out.
He did not produce the quality of the product that he said he would.
I think it was very accurate. She wanted more than she was paying for.
We'll be very particular in terms of how we select those who support us.
I know not to do favors for friends anymore.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Strickland versus Nietzsche. Step forward.
Walter Strickland is suing his ex-girlfriend, Angela Nietzsche, for the return or value of 2 vehicles, late fees, and punitive damages.
Well, there are a lot of pieces to this case, Mr. Strickland, so I have to make it very, very simple.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
The vehicle was purchased in my name only?
Listen to me. I'm not dealing with it. The car's in her name. She's got a new title, and it's registered to her. I believe her. I don't believe you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Walter Strickland says ex-girlfriend Angela Nietzsche owes for 2 vehicles, late fees, and punitive damages. Angela is countersuing for unpaid services and repair costs for a van.
Now, Miss Nietzsche was your girlfriend many years ago, and then you remained friends after you were no longer dating. There came a time when you had some health issues.
Yes.
And you hired Miss Nietzsche to do lots of little things for you. Among those things was taking care of your books, paying your bills. Is that correct?
Yes, but that's not when I hired her.
When did you hire her?
I hired her in 2010 when I was over-the-road truck driver, and I hadn't been home in weeks.
At some point, according to you, you let her use a car.
My pickup truck, yes.
Where is that truck now?
At the hotel.
Who's driving it?
I do.
Okay, so you have that truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the holding hostage in some way.
She was driving my pickup truck and informed
Give me a year.
In 2015, excuse me, she was driving, she borrowed the pickup truck because her car was on the last legs. And after driving it for a few weeks, she determined that she couldn't lock anything up in it because of her business and her shows that she would go to, so she needed a car that she could lock up.
And?
At that time is when she told me she needed to borrow some money to purchase a car that she could lock up. She found a car online and asked me to go down and pick it up.
So you did?
Went down, it was not there. It had already been sold.
Okay, and then?
There was a PT Cruiser sitting there that with low mileage, and she said it sounded good to her, so.
What did you do, call her?
Yes, I did.
And said?
The other vehicle that she had wanted me to pick up had already been sold. That I'm sitting here looking at a PT Cruiser with 69,000 miles on it, 2004. She said, well, drive it and see if you think it's worth it. I said, okay. So I drove it. Seemed great.
Great. So what did you do?
I purchased it.
In whose name?
Mine.
And where was she when you were purchasing this truck?
She was up in Apple Valley working.
In what vehicle?
In my brown pickup, a 93 F-150.
Okay, and that was in 2015. Do you remember the beginning of the year?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the car still in your name?
Yes, it is, as far as I know.
Is the car in his name?
No.
How did that happen?
He purchased the car. He called me and asked me, hey, I found this PT Cruiser. Look it up. It's at this. So I looked it up. I actually printed it off. And I said, I have no money. And I have no money. So there's no way I can pay for it. He says, well, you do a lot for me. You've helped me out so much. I'll help you out. So that was February 20th. I was in Pinion Hills, Phelan, working out of my office at my mother's house when he had called me. And I had clients all afternoon, so I was not in Apple Valley. So he brought it up, and as soon as I was done with my last client, we sat down, he signed me over a bill of sale, and And I said, do you want to put yourself as a lien holder if something happens to me? And he said, no, it's your car. And I said, okay.
How much was it?
$4,500 and change.
Can I see the bill of sale? Well, Mr. Strickland, this certainly looks like your signature, sir, on February 20th. You want to take a look at this? I've compared it with the signed.
Registered owner. I'm supposed to be the legal owner.
It's a bill of sale that you sold it to her.
A year later, it's still in my name, Your Honor.
Did you ever register it in his name?
I did. When the dealership finished the paperwork, they put it as Walter Strickland and Angela Strickland. They messed up my last name. And then after the battle started in February, or the attitude started in February, I just went ahead in March and went and got it registered right.
So you got it registered right?
Yes.
Perfect. That's what you're supposed to do. You can return that to him.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
The vehicle was purchased in my name only. She picked up the phone while I was on the way home and called the people and told them to put her name on it. And they did. They put Angela on it, Strickland.
Listen to me. I'm not dealing with it. The car's in her name. She's got a new title, and it's registered to her. I believe her. I don't believe you. Now we're going to get on to the next car. Do you understand?
Sure.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Something got your panties in a twist. I'm not sure what it is, but so far I have 2 frivolous causes of action by you. When somebody presents me with 2 frivolous causes of action, I'm not interested in the third.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Walter Strickland says ex-girlfriend Angela Nietzsche owes for 2 vehicles, late fees, and punitive damages. Angela is countersuing for unpaid services and repair costs for a van.
Now, the next car is a car that she took in that belongs to you to a mechanic.
Yes.
When did she take that car into a mechanic? Sounds like she did a lot of work for you. Month and year.
September 25th, 2014.
September 25th, 2014?
Yes, I have the AAA tow letter.
Just a second. May I see that, please? So this car is sitting in a mechanic's shop for 2 years. I assume it is no longer properly registered nor insured. Is that correct, Mr. Strickland?
Non-opt.
Non-opt, you mean non-operable?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's neither registered nor insured?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, okay. Do you want this car?
Yes, I do.
Then you should go get it.
Well, ma'am, in 2000...
It's in your name. It's been 2 years. What do you need me for? To go and get your car?
She towed her on her own self. When her son wrecked my brown pickup, I turned around and told her, stop me doing anything on it. I can't afford to do anything right now. I had to pay to have the pickup fixed.
Panties in a twist. I'm not sure what it is, and I don't really care. But so far, I have 2 frivolous causes of action by you. I'm going to tell you for 2 vehicles. I'm going to tell you why. This one's frivolous because after this one, according to you, this is 2014, in 2015, you went and bought her a car. So if you were annoyed about this, why in the world would you go buy her a car? I don't know, and I don't care.
Ma'am, it was not towed in 2014. It was taken down there after I bought the PT Cruiser.
Date of service, September 25th, 2014. The American Auto Club of Southern California towed it there.
Is that, it says a van?
Well, you tell me what kind of car you want back. The car that's in her name, you're not getting back. Now we're on the second car. What year and model is that car?
An EF 150 1989.
On the money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I'm not getting involved in you had aggravation. That's a too soft issue for me, and I can't figure out what the level of your aggravation was.
Well, when my pickup got wrecked...
But just a second, I'm speaking now. When somebody presents me with 2 frivolous causes of action, Mr. Strickland, I'm not interested in the third. Now I'm on the counterclaim. listen to me carefully. You're suing him for $4,200 for unpaid services and repair of the van. And you stretched that out as much as you could to $4,200, right?
Yeah, I went back.
Right? And he bought you a $4,500 car, right? We're done here. You got it?
I didn't have a problem with that.
Perfect. We're done.
Okay, can I get reimbursement back for the van
do you
repairs?
understand what I just said to you?
Oh.
You have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for $4,200 for a whole variety of things, including money that you allegedly paid to repair his 1989 F-150 and wages. All of it together, as much as you could put into your counterclaim, came to $4,200, and he bought you a $4,500 car.
Right.
Do you understand?
I understand.
We're done.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Her son wrecked my truck.
We borrowed it with Walt's permission, and it broke down.
She was writing checks, taking care of 6 bills a month.
For 12 years, I've taken care of Walt.
In the end, she just quit paying them.
I'm just done.
Can't trust anybody.
It's just time for me to move on.
She has constantly, every single day, complained about something.
The plaintiff had enough. Your son made mistakes.
A family contracting business with a shaky foundation.
I said he's inexperienced and he needs help, were my exact words.
And building good relations isn't their thing.
I also got, I'm glad you're so perfect that you've never made a mistake in your life.
Exactly that.
I understand what she's up against, just from the way you're behaving.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Elaine Davis is suing contractors Jean-Michel Bureau and his son Michael for faulty workmanship and reimbursement for additional contractors.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Davis, you hired the defendant, the senior Mr. Bureau, to do sort of a reconstruction of a bathroom. You hired the defendant, you were dissatisfied with his service, you parted in not good ways, and you want a whole lot of money from him for a whole lot of things that you're really not entitled to. Mr. Bureau has a counterclaim. It smacks of extortion and other things. So I have to satisfy myself that you have been made whole, even if you were dissatisfied. Tell me when you hired Mr. Bureau.
I hired Mr. Bureau towards the end of March, I believe was the date.
Of this year?
Yes.
And it was the bathroom that you were supposed to do, Mr. Bureau, is that correct?
Absolutely.
And when you went to see Miss Davis, who did you go with?
Initially, I went by myself.
In March?
In March, yes.
Did you go back to see the premises again?
Yes.
Before the work started?
Oh, absolutely.
You did?
Absolutely, twice.
When?
Came in initially for an estimate, came in
That's
and
March
made an agreement.
16.
Yes.
That's March. When did you come back?
That was end of March, and then again at the beginning of April when the permits were issued.
When you came at the end of March, who did you come with?
When I came at the end of March?
At the end of March.
I came up by myself.
And when the permits were issued, what was the purpose of that visit?
Permits left onto the property from the time they're issued.
Okay, so that was
day
just
I
a
went from
drop
Norman.
off.
I went from the city hall to there and dropped them off directly.
Alone?
No, actually, Michael was with me when I dropped off the permits.
Did he go in and meet Miss Davis?
Yes, he did.
Is that correct?
I don't remember that, but it could have happened.
Was that the first time that you had met the son?
It would have been, yes.
How much was the job supposed to cost?
$8,500.
And how much money did you actually pay Mr. Bureau?
75% up front. I believe it's $6,300 and maybe $25.
He gave you back some money at some point?
Correct.
How much did he give you back?
$2,000.
So you actually, so far, are out of pocket $4,300?
Correct.
When did the work commence on the property?
The last week of April, I believe.
Is that correct?
It was May 3rd.
So approximately a month later.
Yes.
Why did it take so long for the work to commence?
Once we got the permitting, we put it on our schedule. We have lots of work. We've been in business since 1958 without any problems.
He hasn't been in business since 1958.
Our family has been.
He has not been in business since 1958.
Our family has been in business since 1958.
He has not in
I've taken over
business.
the business in 1971, and my son is now running it with me.
He has not been in business since 1958, is my
No,
statement.
he wasn't born in 1958.
Correct. Now, it's his house.
Both of us, along with two employees.
Did you work?
Yes, I did.
And did the two other employees work?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is not correct.
Who showed up on May 1st?
It was April 25th, and John came with a helper.
John came with a helper?
Yes.
Not the son?
No.
What was the date that you asked them to leave?
I believe it was the 26th of May.
The 23rd.
Someone, okay.
Between May the 1st, when the project started, and May 23rd, how many men were on site?
Michael was there with a helper on the days that he worked. There was one other gentleman that they had who came in behind them like to do cleanup on the days that they were there, and then John himself.
How many days was the father there?
Well, that's John himself, and I would say maybe 3-4 days.
Now, you want to tell me why you stopped the work on May 23rd?
After a series of incidents and rude behavior at my home.
Explain what the rude behavior was.
All right, first incident was they came to work at my house, and
Who's
they were...
the they?
Michael and his helper, and
Who was the helper?
Guy Joe that we had hired at the time. He doesn't work with us no more.
He doesn't work with you anymore. And how long had he worked with you at the time that you started Miss Davis's job?
For maybe a month.
So you would
Yes, ma'am. Well, he left himself. I didn't fire him.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. They were wandering around in my backyard, and I said, hey, what are you guys doing out there? The job is inside the house. And he said, well, I'm out here looking for a water spigot. I said, well, why didn't you ask me? And that's all was said. Then the next day when his father came, his father said, what the hell did you think we were going to do, steal something? Don't you know we have more money than she has? And I thought, wow. I didn't know if that was a dry sense of humor or it was just rudeness, but the job had just gotten started. I let it go. Second incident was they spent a day and a half putting a new ceiling up in the bathroom and then realized they forgot to put the insulation in. I brought it to his attention.
Just a second. Who was there when that happened?
Michael and his helper, Joe, as he's named him now.
All right, Michael, let's start with the ceiling. Did you put up a new ceiling?
Yes, we did.
Did you have to take it down to put in the insulation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And on what date did that happen?
Couldn't honestly tell you.
Was that at the beginning of the job?
Around the 14th.
Around the 14th.
Okay.
If I want you to answer me, I'll ask you to answer me.
Okay.
Now, can you tell me why you didn't put in the insulation?
It just slipped our mind. And
Okay, so it was a mistake.
It was a 10-minute mistake.
Just a second. It was a mistake.
Yes, ma'am.
What's next?
Second issue was part of this rehab job was renovating a closet in the same room to accommodate it and framed it out new and put new piping. The pipes don't fit in the wall. They protrude out of the wall, and they can't be fixed because they were concreted in the floor.
Who concreted them in the floor?
Michael.
Michael, she has photographs of this, I'm sure, to show me. Do you know what she's talking about?
Every pipe that we've had in there was inside the wall. I did not see any pipes sticking out of the wall. We didn't have any problem with pipes sticking out of the wall.
Did she ever bring that to your attention?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to see a photograph of it. Do you remember framing out the closet, Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
You had to reset piping for the washer and dryer?
Yes, ma'am. We had a plumber come in and do our plumbing work.
And did they have to be cemented in? Who did the cement work?
I did, ma'am.
Plumbers just did the piping.
Yes, ma'am. Now, we did not have to frame that whole wall. That wall was an existing wall. We just had to put a couple more studs inside that wall.
Well, this is what she's talking about. Would you show that to me?
I haven't seen it.
It's probably the clean out.
Oh, the drain.
Drain?
Yeah. I was there for the drain. I was there when the plumber did the work for the drain. It was explained to her because of the way the plumbing was set up that that drain would actually have to come connection. And it would not interfere with the washer and dryer being able to go in, so we would put a cabinet into that area when we were finished to cover that pipe up so it would not be exposed.
So the pipe was exposed?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, first it wasn't exposed. Now the pipe was exposed.
No, this pipe was exposed. I'm the one that framed that wall and turned the board sideways for the dryer to fit in.
What you're saying is that you later told her why it was protruding.
Before we even put the wall together, yes.
You had that conversation?
No.
What's next?
Last thing was, into the last week of the job, they spent 3 days putting tile up. The room's only 6 by 9, and we weren't even halfway done with the tile. They came back Monday morning. It was a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They came back Monday morning, and I hear them in there taking the tile back off the wall. I said, what are we doing? And Michael said, I forgot to put the rubber liner in, which should have went in before the walls, for the ceiling.
So, Michael, now we're talking about in the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Needs a rubber lining.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you forget to put that in before you put the tile up?
I was actually leaving the tiles 8 inches up. The liner goes 6 inches. And yes, I set a couple tiles low, and I had to pop a total of 4 tiles off of the wall.
Whether you popped 4 tiles off of 40, did you forget to put up the liner before you put up the 4?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She refused to let me take the tools and go to a different job.
And she forced us to go get $2,000 cash and locked our tools in the bedroom and extorted that money from us to get her tools.
Good for her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Elaine Davis says contractors Jean-Michel Bureau and his son Michael owe for faulty workmanship and the cost to hire additional contractors. The defendants are countersuing for extortion.
Okay, Mr. Brio, the plaintiff had enough. Your son made 2 mistakes in this renovation. I don't know whether I would have halted the job, but she felt as if she was sufficiently concerned. I can actually understand that, because the first thing was the ceiling, and if the ceiling had gone up and she hadn't been there to notice that there was no insulation, you wouldn't know that. Once the ceiling is up, I assume the ceiling is up. You don't know whether there's insulation behind it, above it, or not. And this, you can uncross your arms, Michael. How old are you?
33.
All right. He gave you back $2,000.
Yes, and Judge, can I explain to you, I didn't halt to stop what you're doing. Go outside. I need to talk to your boss. Because I'd already had several conversations with John. Can't you come and work on this job? I hired you to work on this job. Nope, this is what I got. Michael's the best I've got. I said, well, we have problems, okay? He's inexperienced and he needs help, were my exact words. I wasn't trying to be rude or ignorant to him. He said, nope, I can't, no, I can't. So I stopped the job. They called him. He called me on the phone. He came to my home. We sat down at my kitchen table and I said, can you not come and finish this job yourself? He said, no, I can't. I said, can you get me 2 other qualified people to come and finish this job? He said, not for 3 or 4 more weeks. I said, then we're done. I have to stop the job now because I don't have that much more time.
Just a second. I don't blame you, because I get from his attitude right here that this was the reaction he had with you.
Yes, and I also got, I'm glad you're so perfect that you've never made a mistake in your life.
Okay. I got it.
Exactly that. She never made a mistake in his life. He put up the drywall on the ceiling and saw the insulation there. She never came and told him that. He saw the insulation there. He unscrewed the drywall and put the the insulation into the ceiling without her.
Do you understand,
but she walked in and noticed
what she's up against? I understand what she's up against.
Well, maybe.
I understand just from the way you're behaving.
No.
Just the way you're behaving here. I understand.
Responsible for the job.
Listen to me.
And I was on the job working a lot more than what she said. I was on the job 16 days.
First of all, I'd like to see what the room looks like now. Your problem, Mr. Brio, is that she hired you. She didn't hire your 33-year-old son who made a series of mistakes that would concern me too. She didn't throw you off the job. She called you and she said to you, I'm really dissatisfied with what's going on in the house, and I would really like it if you could come and finish this job. And you said exactly what you said. You've never made a mistake?
That is an absolute lie.
You just said it to me today.
No, I never said that I had told her, have you ever made a mistake?
You mean you asked me if I ever made a mistake? The words came out of your mouth. Am I crazy?
Yeah, maybe. But it did not come out that way. I came back to the job. She had 3 people sitting at the table and says, I want you off my job.
Okay.
And she refused to let me take the tools and go to a different job that I had going on that I needed to work on too.
And she forced us to go get our tools, go get $2,000 cash, and locked our tools in the bedroom so we couldn't get our tools out of the house, and extorted that money from us to get her tools.
Good for her.
Well, good for her.
No, because I could see from your attitude, sir, that she does not present as a hothead. She really doesn't.
Excuse me?
She doesn't present.
about something. I have a whole email, a text mail list here that you're welcome to read as evidence in this, that she has constantly, every single day, complained about something.
Mr. Brio,
even before we were supposed to be there.
Don't you understand? What you're doing here, the way you are having a conversation with me, suggests to me that you don't even recognize that you have a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why would you buy grab bars for her on the 24th?
Originally, those grab bars were for her job.
You bought them on the 24th after you had a major kerfuffle on her property, and you went and bought grab bars at Home Depot for her? Oh, please.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Elaine Davis has accused contractor Jean-Michel Bureau and his son Michael of faulty workmanship and owing for the cost to hire additional contractors.
Now you agreed to pay him $8,500 to complete the job.
Correct.
How much did you pay other people for the job that you contracted for him to do for $8,500? How much did you pay other people to do that job?
$14,000.
So you were getting a big bargain from him.
No, undone, and then started over again.
I want you to show me where they had to undo the pipes that he put in.
Well, the pipes couldn't be undone.
Okay. Don't say. Show me the pipes that had to come out. They did not.
No.
Correct. Okay. The ceiling, did it come out?
No.
So far you have the pipes and the fittings for the closet, and the ceiling is in.
Yes.
Okay. So that he's entitled to get paid for.
Okay.
Right?
They did that work.
And for that work, how much money did they get paid? $4,300.
Yes.
What other work of theirs remained?
Oh, a lot.
Remained.
Remained.
Well, then you hired somebody very expensive to do the bathroom for $8,500. You tell me what had to be taken down.
Well, in lieu of them not putting the liner in behind the walls that were already done and the ceiling was done, they had to use a hydro barrier and a different type of material to create a rubber barrier, which was very expensive. The tile guy alone was $4,500.
$5.
If you don't install the liner prior to the rest of the work, then you have to take a different route, and there is a letter.
Liner goes to the outside of the wall. It doesn't. The liner does not go behind the wall. It goes on the outside of the wall, and the tile goes over the top of the liner. So she didn't have to remove anything off the wall to put liner on.
Correct.
This is a bill from his plumber to finish the plumbing work.
I'd like. Oh, well, that's a small bill. That's $260.
Yeah, that's a small bill. Here's the bigger. Right. This is the tile guy with a letter that he just wrote me.
I don't want to see his letter. I want to see his paid bill.
Okay.
And what he did.
Okay.
That was $4,500. What else?
The electrician to finish the electrical work for the new washer and dryer that had to get run outside the 220.
Just a second. Was that part of your job description?
Yes, it was, but it was the electrical to be ran after the job, after we got past the point we were at.
That's not my question. For the
yes,
$8,500.
It was part of the $8,500.
That you did not do?
No. We supplied all the material to do the job. We left the material there on the job when we left. We supplied the material. We supplied the wire. We supplied the conduit. We supplied the boxes. And a massive other materials that were left on the job. Excuse me. Sorry.
Good. Do you have the bills for those things that you left?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Okay.
That probably is the best way to go, because right now I want to see that...
Can I say one thing?
No, just show me the bills.
Probably 50%.
Just show me the bills.
Okay.
Paid bills.
They're on their way.
The things that you left there. Mr. Brio, what was the last day that you were on property? Mr. Brio, what was the last day you were on property?
What was the last day?
No, May 23rd.
May 23rd.
May 23rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then why would you show me a bill for something you bought for her on May 24th?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, why would you show me a bill for something you bought for her on May 24th?
It was billed to me on May 24th.
No, Home Depot.
Oh, then I...
Then you what?
Sorry.
Then you what?
Then I slipped that one in.
Yes, you slipped
by
them
mistake.
in. You slipped one in, I don't know
by
why
absolute
you slipped
mistake,
in.
ma'am. No, it was an absolute mistake. I also have
Just a second.
the demolition of the property took 2 weeks.
Am I speaking?
Yes. No, I didn't know. I thought you stopped. I'm sorry.
Would you show him the receipt for May 24th?
Yeah, let me see what that receipt was for. Grab bars.
Why would you buy grab bars for her?
Huh?
On the 24th?
Originally, those grab bars were for her job.
You bought them
I
on the
did not-
24th
did-
after, where the police were called. And you went and bought grab bars at Home
ma'am.
Depot for her? Oh, please, give me a
Yes,
break.
ma'am. I ordered them.
Your
I
counterclaim
picked-
is
wait a minute.
dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,300. We're done.
So the extortion, none of that matters.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
We've been extorted.
Just putting up with their attitudes, they showed it.
Police never got recalled.
It did end with the police, and it did end with a 911.
That lady put her hands on me and punched me in her house.
After I escorted him out of my home, he came rushing back in. We met, and as he came around, I went like that, and I popped him right in his chest. Yes, I did.
We have never had a major complaint of any kind.
The son is so inexperienced, it's a shame.
This is the first major complaint we've ever had.
The bathroom is finished, thank God.
Do you know how the horse was injured? It had a large hole in its chest.
Tragedy in her unsafe stables.
You really had the responsibility to call a vet, but it's her responsibility to pay.
She never called, text, nothing, zero.
She said to you, you're not getting the horse unless you give me so much money.
Then a horse owner starts trotting out excuses.
She doesn't have a permit to run a boarding stable.
When did you have this epiphany? When you had a problem?
Judge Judy. Of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Janice Tickle is suing Sarah Joint for vet bills, boarding and hauling fees, and ransom money paid for a horse.
Order. All rise. Now, that's case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Tickle versus Joint.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Ms. Tickle, you boarded a horse at the defendant's facility and you claimed the horse was injured while at that facility.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in addition, that when you tried to get the horse from the facility, the defendant sort of held the horse ransom because she claimed that you owed her money.
Yes.
And I read her answer, and her answer is clear. She said that the horse was, in fact, injured at her facility, correct?
Yes.
And that she immediately called your vet, correct?
Yes.
And that your vet said that in order for your vet to come out to look at the horse, she would have to pay a past due bill of yours in addition to that visit that the vet would make. So what's the name of your vet?
It's one of my vets. It's Dr.
The vet that you called?
Dr. Purdue, who's the person she indicated on the boarding agreement as her vet of record.
Fine. On what date was the horse? On September 7th, did you owe Dr. Purdue money? That's very easy. I can make a call.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money did you owe Dr. Purdue?
$280.
How long did you owe Dr. Purdue the $280?
It was 6 months or so, 9 months.
Why didn't you pay the doctor their bill?
I had sold my house and had moved.
Well,
and
okay. You didn't pay the bill. Okay, so
Right.
she's absolutely correct. Called the doctor. The doctor said she owes me money. I'm not coming out to see this horse unless you pay what she owes me plus the visit.
Which was $900, not $250.
Not $280.
Not $280. It was $900. That's what they told me. And it was a year in arrears.
Now, on September 7th, did Miss Tickle owe you any money for boarding the horse?
Yes, she had not paid September's board, which was due on the 1st.
Did she pay August's bill?
She did, but I think it was late.
But she paid August's bill, so by September 7th, she really wasn't that much delayed.
Not too late, no. But
No.
she had disappeared, and the horse was supposed to be picked up on September 1st, and I hadn't heard from her and couldn't reach her.
Just a second. When you say the horse was supposed to be picked up, what does that mean?
She advised me sometime in July that the horse was going to be picked up on September 1st. But I never heard from her. She never showed up. Nothing happened. She never called, text, nothing, zero. I thought the horse had been abandoned.
Okay. Now, on September 1st, had you made an arrangement, because I read your complaint, to closer? That's what you say. So be careful your answer.
Right. The date, though, is incorrect. It was an oral statement that
I don't care if it's oral or not. Did you tell her that you were going to be picking up the horse on September 1st because, according to you, you were looking for another facility that was much closer to me? Because you told her
but
that.
not on. I said I need to find the right facility. My horse has known allergies, which
She gets hives, Your Honor, that are all over her body, and it's a health problem. The hives break open. She's not able to lay down. They get
So
infected.
why didn't you pay your vet?
I paid my vet when I got the bill. There was
you
a problem
didn't.
with my getting mail to my new address. So
when did you move?
I moved in August, put everything in storage. In September, I moved into...
Well, this bill was due in December,
Right,
according
this
to
was
you.
in
So you would have
December.
gotten it January, February, March, April, May. You would have gotten the bill.
Right, Your Honor.
Okay.
Usually I was present when the vet would come out. This is the first time a vet has ever seen my horse. I've owned her 10 years without me being present.
Ms.
I
Tickle,
have
let's go. How much did you pay the defendant when you went to pick up the horse?
When I went to pick up the horse on...
Yes, in September.
When I actually picked her up in September,
How much did you pay her? Well, let me go back.
Okay.
Ms. Joint, how much was her monthly boarding fee?
$325.
Okay. Now, do you know how the horse was injured? It had a large hole in its chest.
I have no idea how the horse was injured. No one was there, no one saw it. It's impossible to know. Horses, unfortunately, injure themselves quite regularly in their paddocks, and you don't know necessarily how they did it.
Well, I'd like to see what you wrote up about the horse's injury.
What I wrote about it?
You have a log, I assume, that you keep with regard to the horses that you board.
I don't board horses regularly. This was a one-off situation. She was a companion horse for my horse because another horse went away, so they didn't like being alone. But it's not a regular thing. It's kind of like a roommate situation.
Do you have a contract?
Yes.
I'd like to look at it.
Okay.
Your Honor.
What?
I met the defendant because she advertised a stall for rent, boarding stalls in Craigslist.
How long did you keep your horse there?
From January 13th, 2014 until
So it was there for a very long time, and
Yes.
clearly you were satisfied.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would have moved it.
Right. Everything was fine up until I got hurt.
Okay. This is your contract. And this says that if the horse becomes injured, which the horse clearly was, that it's your responsibility to first try to contact the boarder.
Which I did desperately.
Just a second. That's fine. And the second thing that you do is, if you can't contact her, she gives you permission to contact her vet.
Correct.
Is unavailable. The boarder authorizes the stable to call its veterinarian in an emergency, and that the boarder will be fully responsible for all veterinary charges so incurred. So you really had the responsibility to call a vet, but it's her responsibility to pay.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Correct. So the part of your request for vet bills, she's not responsible for those pursuant to this contract. You are.
Right, Your Honor, but her boarding contract, she doesn't have a home occupational permit to run a boarding stable in Simi Valley, and that's required to...
Hey, you kept the horse there for 9 months.
Right.
When did you have this epiphany that she wasn't allowed to do what she was doing? When did you have this epiphany? When you had a problem? What I'm telling you is you have a contract, and your contract says that you pay the vet bill. Right now, you owe her $325 because your horse was there in the month of September. Has this happened? You paid it?
Yes, I did.
Great. How much did you pay her?
I paid $325. I sent it to her through bill pay.
Is that correct?
It was cancelled. I have an email from my bank saying it was cancelled.
I canceled it, Your Honor, after...
So you owe her $325?
No, I paid that... She gave me a billing, Your Honor, when I came.
To pick up those, you give me so much money.
Right, and she added on erroneous charges and add-ons.
Just a second. How much money did you give her?
I gave her $1,584.
Okay. Now we come back to you. What is $1,584 for?
I have a line item billing of everything that I did for the horse, being that I had understood the horse was abandoned for the last 2 months.
Well, I don't care what you understand, actually. I don't care what you understand. 7 days is not abandoned.
She had not been to see that horse for months.
That's not true.
That's actually impossible because she told me that a month prior or 2 months prior, she had a conversation with you that she was moving the horse.
I believe it was a text exchange.
I don't care if it was text or by smoke signals.
She had not been to the facility to see her horse.
Listen to me. It doesn't matter. So far, she owes you $325 for boarding for the month of September.
I'd be happy to show you the billing with the receipts that I have.
Take a look. She paid you in August.
I apologize. It's complicated because we had
Just a second. No way. No way. So baloney. take it back. She owes you $325 because the horse hadn't been there the whole month of September, according to this.
To the board.
I understand that.
And I fed her horse, and I gave it medical care, which it was essential, or the horse could have got an infection and been very sick.
Let me tell you what you were required to do pursuant to your contract. You were required to get a vet.
I did. I called the vet and
I read your answer.
I spoke to the vet.
I read your answer.
And he gave me his recommendation.
I read your answer. You don't get paid for that. You personally, unless you paid it, just a second.
Horse
listen to me.
That's left at my property.
Listen to
that's
me
abandoned.
carefully. Unless the vet sent you a bill, you don't get paid for that.
How do you?
Did the vet send you the bill for the I'm speaking. Just answer the question. Did the vet send you a bill for the conversation that you had with the vet to tell you how to fix the injury, this large gaping hole in the horse's chest that happened while it was under your care?
No.
Did the vet tell you? The answer is no.
He gave me free
so
advice because he
$1,584
knew
less
I thought it was
$325,
abandoned.
which is actually what she owed you, which she didn't pay, which is $162. So far, $1,261. Then you do have to feed your horse.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. So how much does it cost for the horse's food for the 9 months that the horse was there?
It was $100 a month average for 6 bales of hay for that
month period. What did you pay?
I paid
for food?
on average of $120 a month.
Well, now it's from 100 to 120. Why don't we think again? How much did you pay for the horse's food for the 9 months that the horse was there?
$120 a month was for the hay.
Fine, less 120.
No, I paid that though. I paid that. She would give me.
In September?
She would tell me the amount.
Just a second. In September?
That's in her billing.
Just a second. What
That's
billing?
in her billing that she gave to me.
Oh, I'm deducting certain figures. I'm deducting from what you gave her, $1,584. I'm deducting what you owe her,
Right.
$325 for the boarding for the month of September.
Right.
You owe her $120 for food. I'm deducting that from the money that you gave her. This is your lawsuit.
$60, Your Honor, because it would have been half the month.
So far, $1,141 is what you're entitled to back from what she gave you, because you're not getting paid for the vet, for you acting like a vet on a horse that was injured on your watch. Food and her monthly boarding for September. What else does she owe you?
Grain, because I had to start feeding the horse because it was losing weight. It was in
Grain.
stress.
Had you, just a second. In the 9 months that you had the horse there, other than September, did you ever feed the horse and bill her for grain? The answer is either yes.
She brought the grain up until around July. She was no longer bringing food to
Just
her.
a second. I'm giving you hay. That's in your deal. And I gave you for the whole month, not just half of it. What I asked you was, had you ever previously billed her for grain?
Before July, no, because she brought her own.
Okay, $1,141. What else?
The medical care. I flushed that wound 3 times a day.
$1,141. That's what you're entitled to, not $4,803. $1,141. That takes off the food for the horse and the $325 that you owe her.
Okay.
It actually says in my contract that I'm entitled to bill for medical care I provide the horse if I have to.
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you know that that car was worth $84.50? 1983 Chevy Silverado? No, impossible.
It had some stuff done to it. It was
I don't
well
care
written.
what it had onto it. I don't care if it sang Happy Birthday in Mandarin.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Janice Tickle says Sarah Joint wouldn't return a horse she was boarding for her. Janice is suing for her damages.
Now, it says that you are required to provide veterinary care.
I gave
by
the
a
horse veterinary care. Under veterinary advice.
Are you
is a vet tech, and I went under her advice and the doctor's advice
Good.
on how
You don't
to
get
treat
paid
the
for
wound.
that. 1141. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If it were her horse and the tables were turned, I would have called another vet and another vet and another vet.
She didn't contact me for a week after the horse was injured.
Until I had that horse, the gapping wound.
I texted her, I called her, I emailed her.
Sealed up and cleaned up.
I went way above and beyond.
I learned a lesson. I will never board at a private backyard facility.
Take care of your animals and go visit them when you're supposed to.
And certainly not through one I find on Craigslist.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fawcett versus Gutierrez. Step forward.
Matthew and Dawn Fawcett are suing Caleb Gutierrez for money owed for a truck.
Bird, would you do me a favor? I don't know if I'm books go back this far. I'd like you to look up a 1983 Chevy Silverado and tell me what the Blue Book value of that car is while I'm inquiring. This is what the lawsuit is about, Mr. and Mrs. Fawcett. It is your claim that you hired the defendant to redo a kitchen project for you. In addition, you say that you sold him a 1983 Chevy Silverado for $3,000.
We didn't sell it to him. It was part of our payment to Caleb of that.
So you were doing some barter.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to find out how much the truck is worth.
$8,450.
$8,000.
$8,450.
1983 Chevy Silverado? No, impossible.
It had some stuff done to it. It was
I don't
lower
care
than-
what it had onto it. I don't care if it sang happy birthday in Mandarin.
They're very sought after now to be customized and lowered, which
I don't
it was.
care.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why would they sell you and give you the title to a very expensive car before you paid for it by doing the work you were supposed to do? So they were trusting people. So why would they all of a sudden start to threaten you and your wife?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Matthew and Dawn Fawcett claim Caleb Gutierrez owes for a truck.
Bert, I have to see it. I mean, we're talking about a 24-year-old. I'm looking for a Chevy Silverado. And where does this say Silverado here?
This is Silverado.
Let's see, Silverado package. Astounding. Did you know that that car was worth $8,450?
I did not, and I don't believe it is.
Well, I'm looking here, so I am going to show you what it says in this Kelly Blue Book. Would you show him what it says? I mean, I actually was amazed, Mr. Gutierrez.
Yeah, I suppose that would be if it's in excellent condition, which I doubt.
Even if it's in lousy condition, it's worth more than $1,200, right?
Could be, yes.
Not could be. So let's say they gave you a truck that's worth $6,000, and what you paid them was $1,250.
Yeah.
So they were expecting you to do another $4,000 worth of work. Let's say we take that figure. And I'm giving you the benefit of every doubt.
Yeah.
Did you do $4,000 worth of work for them?
Not completed, no. But the original job, the original estimate was for $4,700.
No.
I want to know what you did for them.
Well, we refaced the cabinets, is what it started out as. Ended up
I want to know not what it started out as. I want to know, and that's giving you a great deal. $6,000 car for $1,250, which is what you gave them, which means I want to see you doing $4,350 worth of work.
Okay.
Did you do $4,300 worth of work?
They wouldn't let me complete the job, so no.
Oh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, they're only suing you for $3,500.
I don't believe they thought the truck was worth that much either. I still don't
you
see
think
how it would be.
You don't think it is? I don't think it is, but that's what the book says it is.
The fair price in there was, I think,
Was what?
$1,450, it said.
No. What's the fair price? I think he made a mistake there.
Maybe I was looking at the wrong one, but
I think you were. I think that the Silverado package added 10% onto the long bed truck.
Okay.
What's the fair price?
$4,225.
$4,225. That's in fair condition. That's excellent. That's good. That's fair. Right? You still driving the truck?
No.
What happened to it?
Well...
What happened to the truck?
The tires are flat, and I don't drive it.
Well, now you know how valuable it is. Maybe you'll drive it. What's the job?
They just made it hard to go in there and work.
Explain to me how they made it hard.
They started threatening me, threatening my
you
wife.
how? Just a second. No. Why would they sell you and give you the title to a very expensive car before you paid for it by doing the work you were supposed to do? So they were trusting people, right? So why would they all of a sudden start to threaten you and your wife?
Because we just had The job was taking longer than we expected.
Than you expected.
Both of us.
Than you expected.
Okay.
You owe them $3,500. That's what they're suing for. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Vice Judge Steve, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Just bringing my wife into this when she had nothing to do with it, harassing me with phone calls and texts all day long.
Well, you know, when he says harass and threaten, I had to show up to his place of business, which is his home.
They did.